What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 117. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
Oh, gotta get out full screen mode. Hi, guys.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Carlos Romero.
What's up, everyone?
Brett Murdoch.
In the flesh.
And Adam Vale.
Oi.
All right, people, we got another show for you. Now, before we start, I got a little bullshit to show you, right? This is why you should not order games from third-party vendors on fucking Amazon. I ordered Killzone Mercenary for Vita, right? I get this little ass envelope in the mail. I'm like, oh no, they didn't do what I think they did.
They did exactly what you thought they did.
This is what they sent me. They sent me the fucking card, the little game.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking
You wanted the
bullshit.
box?
They just sent. They didn't send the box. There's no box.
No,
This
but
is-
That happened.
That's happened to me.
Yeah, that happened to me too. When I bought Metal Gear Solid on the for Vita, it was just the game.
yeah. So
So,
some bullshit.
I've had that happen.
You gotta look at that stuff.
And you
to
got to
be
read the
honest.
fine print, because one time the guy, when I sent him an email, I'm like, it's missing the packaging. He says, no, I put down in the description that this is the stock images that I'm showing. It's
Wow.
like, and that all that it's included in this order is the game itself.
Yeah, that's some bullshit. I got to read the fine print, I guess. you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
now what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to buy an empty or get an empty case, right, and get Manny do a cover for me.
Good luck. Good luck with that shit, because you can't find Vita cases. I can't find no fucking Vita cases.
Yeah, I went to
Tony.
GameStop to buy the Chancleta game
Yeah,
today.
Chancleta.
and they only had like the cheap ass ripoff case, man. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
buy that without the original case.
Yeah, that's
I'm sure if
bullshit.
you look somewhere online, somewhere
think-
from Japan, you could order it.
Here's the thing. I think Adam is right. We can maybe see if we can find a bunch of cases online, and like just buy a couple of bulk, and I'll just print you up a cover for it.
Yeah, I think Cover CC, if that's still around, let me check, because there was a site that was dedicated to just game covers.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Hold on. You can keep going.
Yeah, all right, so let's get into it.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, go ahead, Brett. I know you said you wanted to ask me something. What happened?
Why do you want, and I understand the concept of having a box for a game, I really do, but is it the same with cartridges and cards? Like a case for each Vita game seems incredibly inefficient. I'm curious why you wouldn't have like a wallet of Vita games.
Because
or
I am
you-
probably going to lose this fucking thing.
Well, that's the thing. You have like a
why.
wallet of Vita games. Like my PSP has slots for Vita games in it. Or you just fuck, dude. You could 3D print a video game case that has like 8 Vita slots or 8 Vita card slots in it. Just keep like half your game collection in one case.
Yeah, I don't know. For Vita, I want to have the physical cases, man. I have a mission now. I want Vita games physical. You know,
See, that was strikes me as
I've
weird
never,
because
I've
like,
never been that dude. Like, like they keep a book of CDs, game CDs. I'm like, but you're missing the manuals and the covers and shit. You know.
Manny,
I guess-
remember
I
the
guess I
shelves
view
that
it-
I had?
Oh, what happened, Brett?
Bookshelves. I had
Yeah.
bookshelves
Yeah, I
of
don't- I
games
don't-
that I made covers.
Yeah, bookshelves. But Brett, you don't. You're one of those guys that like, fuck it. I just need the CDs. I don't need anything else.
No. I'm not that way with CDs, but I've always been that way with cartridges, and I'm wondering if this is, because it dates back to Nintendo. Like I didn't need the game box for my Nintendo, but I needed probably because they were always fucking cardboard. I did keep the
Yeah, it was
Sega.
cardboard. You got rid of those shits. You know.
I found
But
it.
like Game Boy cartridges were always just cartridges. So I guess I've always viewed handheld as like you don't really keep the cases, because carrying around a bunch of portable games that just creates the bulk. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess you're a different guy. I remember with the Game Boy, each game came with a little plastic case too. I always kept them in a little plastic case.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah,
then
like
you
you-
didn't keep the original packaging.
No.
No.
I always just kept the plastic case. You know. And I guess with the Vita, it's the same deal. The plastic case is in the box, because remember, there's like the stuff on the bottom. Like I don't want that touching anything. You know.
Well, that's
You
what I'm
know,
saying. You can
Okay.
go ahead.
No, go.
You can buy little cases, like just little clear plastic
Yeah.
things that you keep those in.
Oh no, I know. I don't know.
God.
For some reason, I don't want to. I know what you're talking about. Like that seems the most efficient way of doing it, but I just want the case. You know.
I get it. It's your thing. It's all right.
It's for Vita though. It's like for like PS4 games. Obviously, I'm just getting a fucking digital game. I don't even care about.
I think
the
it's.
game at all.
I think
Okay,
it's
that's
because,
what I do. I got all my Vita games on digital.
Mine
but here's
too.
the thing with
Same
Vita,
here.
there's a finite amount of room. And I'm like, it's actually okay because with a PS4 game, it takes up all that space, right? It doesn't matter if you have a physical, digital, doesn't matter. With Vita, it actually does matter if you have physical. It's going to take up less space on your memory card. You know?
I can still hold like 9 games on my Vita at a time.
Yeah.
And just because I delete them doesn't mean that they're not. I don't still own them, and I can re-download
Try
them at any time.
re-downloading a Vita game. How annoying that is going through your download list when you have hundreds and hundreds of games. You know,
The only thing that really sucks, it's slow. Their download service super slow.
I wish you could actually just make it so okay. I only want to see my Vita games I downloaded. Like it shows you everything. PS3 games, like I can't download this. It's on my list.
Mm-hmm.
It's so if I was able to download it easier, I probably would just.
The
go
Vita does have a download list, and it doesn't show everything, doesn't it?
No, it shows everything.
Everything.
You know, and I'm a dude that man. You know me. I bought a bunch of shit. I have hundreds and hundreds of downloads there. You know, so it gets pretty annoying.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get into it. G Mega Force. All right, these are questions he asked us a couple weeks ago. We never got around to. So there you go, buddy. We not only we're going to answer these questions, we're going to answer the new ones you asked us this week. So let's get into it. All right. Do you think developers / publishers know if their game is going to be bad? It takes years to make a game, and it has always struck my curiosity if the developers know that what they are putting together will ultimately suck. You got to know 6 and 9 months in that what you're making isn't very good. I'm not talking about those games that are made well or generally liked, but the ones that have a few problems. I'm talking about those games that just flat out drop the ball in every way. Do you think the developers are in denial to just push through and finish for a paycheck, or do they even care?
They know.
They know.
Yeah.
Oh no,
they
do.
totally know.
They're very aware.
That's why we have all these day one patches because they know there's like, oh shit, we broke this. All right, well, we got to patch that.
Yeah, they know. I mean, here's the thing. There is a point where you've spent so much time developing a game that they at least want to make something off of it. Mm-hmm. So when a game is about to come out and I'm sure the team thinks it's a piece of shit, but they're like, all right, just put it out. And we'll see if we can make back any of our losses on it.
Well, you're talking about two different things. Like, for some studios, they don't have a choice, right? The publisher sets a deadline or comes at them like, you only have this long to make the game. Very often, publishers will go to the lowest bidder development studio to spend the least amount of money to get a product out. That's what Sega was doing with the Marvel games. That's why the Iron Man games were terrible, because they would just go to the lowest bidder, get a pretty bad studio to make the game, and the game sucks. Right?
Why would they do that with such a big IP like Iron Man?
Well, because they probably spent a shitload of money to get the fucking IP.
Yeah,
That's probably most of their budget
on the development. So
exactly,
and they thought the name itself would sell, right? And it did in the beginning, but people were onto them. It's like, this game sucks. The reviews are terrible. So for some studios, they're bad, and they know that they're just putting out subpar products, but they'll promote it like it's great. But for some studios, they don't have a choice. Like some studios who actually do good work, sometimes they get caught in these deadlines and development hell, and they don't have enough time to finish the game or do it properly. So you get like a truncated game, or you get a bad quality game that needs day one patches and all this other shit. So there's a lot of factors going on in that makes a game bad.
I think.
Go ahead. Actually, you know what? You first, Manny.
No, I was just going to reiterate this to say the same thing. I mean, there isn't, again, in general, there is no question that these guys will know that that the product that they're putting out is going to be bad, or stuff like that. I definitely think that they're not in a vacuum. They're like, oh my god, this is the greatest game ever. No, they knew what the problems were.
The problem is that, and this is where it gets a little shitty. The problem is it doesn't necessarily matter, and they know that from the get-go. Like, if you look at budgeting, like half the time, like it's half the budget of the game itself is advertising. They're selling you an idea. The game, it doesn't really need to get off the ground, and we kind of accept that to a certain extent by pre-orders, and I'm not going to get into all that, but they know the game is going to suck, which is why they do their best to hype it up and hype around it and make it seem like it's going to be the greatest thing, and then get in their walls and they're like, ha, all right, we're going to go make you another game now. And it's because they've put a lot of money and a lot of investment into it, and sometimes they can't really turn it around. So I mean, it's the same thing like you're cooking dinner for a bunch of people and they're all waiting in the dining room, and you burn the steaks, and you come out and you're like, oh, weird. I felt like putting a Cajun spice on them, so I blackened them a little bit. Like, you're gonna say or do anything you can to like just get people to not say anything. Don't point out the fuck up. Don't point out the fuck up. Because I mean, that's human nature in micro and in macro. So yeah, they realize they have a turd sandwich. Now the question is, do they think that they can convince you that it's not a turd sandwich? And really, in the end, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what they have. It's what can they convince you that they have. The same way, like if I could, you know, take a box and take a shit in it and show it to you and convince you that it is a mystery box worth $300, like it's kind of a fiat value. Like, because I've convinced you it's worth $300, it's worth $300. So there you go.
That sounds familiar. The $300 shit box.
Oh,
Just
All right.
saying.
Let's move on here. Next question. I can't pay you, but it'll be great exposure. What do you think of people who are not willing to compensate an artist or writer financially, but instead offer a promise of exposure for the work? Is it even worth it to take these free jobs and hope that it will lead to more lucrative ones? I like this question because
taking a few of those,
artists and writers get this shit all the time. Oh, we don't pay, but it's great exposure. Like it's getting to the point where it's kind of bullshit. It's like, okay, you're never gonna pay, you know?
Well, what's the history of your exposure? Like, are you a production company or a development studio, or it depends on whatever? Do you make a habit of getting stuff out into the wild? And if you do, what are your numbers? Because if you're talking about exposure, like what kind of exposure are you talking about? Because half the time it's just some fucking asshole creator being like, oh, this is going to be huge. This story is going to be huge, and it's going to get you so much exposure. Like, how do you know your story is even that good? Like, you're selling me on the highest point of your dream. You need to sell me on the lowest point that you know you can deliver.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, and I'm glad you bring that up, because it's like, okay, if it's coming from a place that's kind of established, okay, you have the kind of right to say that. But I see this a lot from companies that like startup companies, like, oh yeah, it's great for exposure, but like no one knows you, and they're gonna know me because of my work with you. Like, come on, man, that's bullshit.
It's like, who are you?
You know, and I hear that all the time. Oh, like, you know, do you want to become a great games writer? Like, join us. We can't pay, but it's great for exposure. I'm like, no one's ever heard of your outfit, bro.
Yeah, it all depends on the outlet and where it's going, and if it has enough eyes on it to make it worth your while to actually spend the time.
Yeah,
it's happened to me quite a bit, where like a writer come like, oh, I love your work, I can't pay you, but I can I can pay you after we do this book, and then I get the script sold. I'm like, dude, you gotta have something, man.
Listen,
I love when they break down the percentages. They're like, okay, no, I'll give you a stake in the comic, and just out of curiosity, you're like, okay, I'm just curious, how much? And they're like, 20%. Or something like that, and you're like, fuck you, I want at least 50. I'm doing like a lion's share of the work. You're asking me to line, ink, color, and you want me to fucking letter this bitch? Like, you're just, so what, you sit back and have the idea? Fuck you.
I'll just say this, because my wife's listening. She's probably steaming right now. This is very question, because she goes through the same thing.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we love your work, but we can't pay you. Then bye. Sorry.
You hear this shit all the time, man. All the time, you know. So is it worth it? Only if the place is actually big, you know.
Yeah.
If it's a bunch of nobodies, which usually is a bunch of nobodies, it's not worth it. You'd be wasting your time.
If somebody like a Greg Miller, when he was starting up Kind of Funny, said to you, yeah, I can't pay you now, but we have a good thing going. I'll be able to pay you later and give you some sort of percentage off of the t-shirts that we make. He has a little bit more of a pot to piss in than somebody just
off credibility in the industry, and he has a following. So
exactly.
Yeah. All right. And the last question here. This is for the artists here. Okay, when you draw something for somebody and are paid for it, how exactly do you pay taxes on that? What are you supposed to fill out, especially if you don't know the actual names of the people you're selling to? See, every real quote-unquote job I've had up to this point in my life has automatically deducted taxes from my paycheck. So this isn't something I've had to worry about before.
You have to save your checks, right? Save checks.
Yeah, you say what you do is usually when you get a check from somebody, or even if you get a PayPal transaction, usually it has the name of the person that's on there. They don't have, unfortunately, you don't have the tax ID. You usually have to have the tax ID when you do that sort of stuff, but you're supposed to just take the amount that you've made and then just from there and just write it down on your taxes. That's about it. That's all I can tell you, dude. It can be very it can be a lot of trouble because it's usually most people that you work for, especially if you're working for companies, they will send you a tax form, even if they're a smaller company. Like when I worked on the La Puertorriqueña book, the Puerto Rican superhero book, the guy's a small company. The guy who created it, it's just he's still sending me a tax form. So they should be sending you at least a tax form, but at least if they don't provide you with one, you're still supposed to sign off on what you've made. And the other thing about that sort of stuff is that when you do usually say that you've made this money from this specific person, a lot of times the IRS comes after them and goes like, "Hey, where's that money?" You know, because they're supposed to file the amount of money that they paid you.
Yeah. All right. Next question here. Dirty Deaf Dealer. Okay, even with the impending doom of Nintendo as a hardware maker, we know they will still be a publisher. Can Nintendo software revitalize Vita, and should Microsoft make a handheld in anticipation of Nintendo going the publisher route to take advantage of the potential software sales? Very interesting question.
Microsoft has a handheld. It's a Surface. They're gonna put their games on that shit.
Yeah.
Windows, they said it. They even said it. Remember, it's part of that Go Anywhere, Xbox Go. You know, they said you could play those games there, and that you can sync your Xbox One controller to it.
Yeah, but imagine playing Gears 4 on that Surface, man. That shit.
And if it's running off a server, if they can switch it where it's not running actually on the dedicated device and it's just streaming it over, it might work.
Yeah. But that would be interesting. But let's be honest. If Sony does come out with another handheld, it can't just be the Vita. It's gonna have to be something else, the PlayStation P2 or something. I don't know. You know?
Yeah, they have to call it. They're going to call it something else if they do make a new one. At least I feel they are.
Yeah. You gotta say it with a Japanese voice, Manny. What do we make it? We'll make it all good. Give it so crazy as a name.
I think the most interesting question is, like, out of this is, like, if Nintendo does go down, do they become exclusively third party, or do they sell to someone? Like, are they going to be so much in the gutter that they're going to have to sell off the company?
Yeah, it depends on what stage they are financially when they decide to make this decision. If they are so far in the hole with creditors and lenders that they have no choice but to start auctioning off IPs to pay them off, then that's what they have to do. They'll get in the hole like THQ did, and they had no choice but to do that. Yeah. You have to step out of this market at a point when you can still retain your IPs, but get rid of other assets like real estate and all that stuff. Sell those off and hold on to the IP so they can continue to publish games as a developer and also license them to like to do with Universal Studios and all that stuff. So you can continue to make revenue, but you're not making hardware anymore. They're going to reach a tipping point where they can no longer do that. And that's when they're going to have to sell their IPs and everything else just to pay off their creditors. And that's going to be a bad day.
I could see them selling it just to Apple. I could see Apple announcing that they own.
Yeah, if that happens, that's going to be the most realistic thing. Let's just be honest, you know.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to do it to Sony since they have the.
They hate Sony.
No, they hate Sony.
They hate Sony, even though they fucked over Sony.
Well, they hate Sony because they created Sony. I think Chris talked about that. They created their own
worst enemy. They created the PlayStation, and that was because they did backdoor deals with Philips and screwed them out of the Super Nintendo CD.
You'll never see a Nintendo game on Sony. I guarantee you that shit.
Unless they have to auction it off.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't that bite them in the ass if Sony bought some of their shit, right?
That would be ironic and glorious.
Glorious.
Oh, man. And Microsoft, I don't know if, they have the Surface, I know, but I'm talking about a real dedicated handheld,
No, I don't think they'll do
it. I don't see them doing that, to be honest.
It'll be something within the Windows. They're not going to start producing Zunes, like they did with like they did. So it's going to still be something within the Windows family, which is a tablet PC or something like that.
Yeah, they're already hedging themselves by releasing their exclusive titles on PC. Imagine doing a whole new platform that's going to require exclusives. That's
no.
something I don't think.
Because I mean, again, I'm probably going to get some flack for this, but it seems to me like Microsoft is getting ready to leave the gaming space. Like they're just going to do shit on PC. So doing a handheld.
No, I mean,
about that.
The thing is it's not. They're not leaving. I don't see Microsoft.
I don't like.
I just see. I just again, like I said, it's just one. It's one part of the larger picture that is the Xbox. Xbox. Just think of Xbox as game. That's they've just replaced the word game with Xbox, and that's what Xbox is going to be.
Yeah, but again, I could still see them going. Yeah, we're just going to be on PC now. I could see that. If especially.
I mean, they could flip it around and do something like that. They could flip it around and do something like that, but at the same time, the thing is that the Xbox is still in the place that Microsoft wants them to be, in your fucking living room.
Yeah, not enough of them though.
They're still a large amount. I mean, that's the thing. They're still selling millions.
That's what Microsoft wants. They want you. They want to be in your living room. So, so that Xbox unit on there is just connected to the larger Windows world.
Yeah, they approached the problem the wrong way, but the idea of a media server in your living room, it's something I've talked about before. It's going to happen. It's an inevitability. The living room of 20 years from now doesn't have like necessarily a streaming cable box the way that we have and have had for like 10, 15 years. They don't have a VCR. They have a media server box. And if Microsoft can brand that and focus it towards gaming, like this is a media server for the gamer, not necessarily for your parents who want to store their movies and their TV shows and their Hulu and all this stuff. Like they are in a good position to be there for that evolution. And they tried to force it with their last iteration, and it didn't work. But still, they were correct in their forward looking of eventually there's going to be a PC in every living room, and we want to be the middle step. We want to be the hybrid step to that. So they may just have to hang on by their fingernails until next generation when the world is a little bit more ready to hear that. And the world goes, well, I could play this on my PC. It'd be nice to have a PC in my living room. And Xbox goes, but what about a cut down, affordable PC that's geared towards gaming? And you go, well, I guess I could see that. And we're like, well, it's the Xbox. And then everybody will lose their shit. Like it's the problem.
The revolution.
Yeah, they presented a solution to a problem that hadn't really presented itself yet. And especially if they go a little bit more open with certain architecture on the Xbox and make it more akin to a PC that you can have in a living room, aka they let you put pirated movies on it and that kind of thing, like it'll work better. So I don't think that they're exiting the gaming space. They're biding their time until their strengths are they're biding their time to strike. They've still got the same strengths. It's just the marketplace right now isn't really looking for that. And that's because I think as a society, we stepped back from computers a little bit. Like, and I hate to say this because it makes me sound like an old man rant, and I know we probably don't have time for one of my old man rants, but we stepped back from the idea of computational power, of big, angry, power-hogging rigs that could just drive crisis-like games. It's kind of the same thing that happened with cars. We were all about bigger and more powerful PCs and better chipsets. And while we still do that, a lot of it's kind of rolled backwards with the advent of the iPad, because now we're splitting technology between our phones and our iPads and our computers, and it's great that we have this high-end thing, but all of a sudden, people want something with a little bit more parity across all mediums. So you can't necessarily have like a website that's super graphic intensive that zooms you through a virtual space and lets you play with icons. Like we still have the same fucking websites because we still have to pull them up on our fucking iPads. And if you souped them up and made them take half a gig to load each website, then your iPad or your phone wouldn't be able to do that. And they've even had to address that with mobile versions of certain websites. So that's my statement. I'm done.
All right. All right. Let's move on here. Young Bastard. All right. Give me an example of a game story or ending that you would fix with an idea of your own. Basically, yeah, what game story would you fix? Probably a lot of them.
Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, Mass Effect 3. That's a good one.
I would have put in a Sienna option.
Damn.
I would have fixed Lords of Shadow. That's for damn sure.
For those of you who played Halo 2, I wouldn't know if it was a bad ending. I don't know. I know.
All right.
You remember?
Yeah, I remember.
Finished the fight.
Yeah, and he was drifting off. I don't know.
No, I would have changed that because
it was all right.
that didn't definitively end it. You just thought, oh, there's another section coming, and then the game ended.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt.
You have you have the talk with the Cthulhu creature, which they never mentioned in the next game.
I would actually complete Metal Gear Solid 5. That still felt incomplete. You know.
Oh yeah, what happened?
Trying to think.
I mean, the ending of Metal Gear 4 for me didn't make any sense.
4? Nah, it made sense. You just had to play the other games.
Oh shit! The Division.
Oh my God!
Division.
Yeah, I
remember we got to the end and it didn't even feel like an end. I was like, what the hell is this? This is weird. It's not even a cutscene. It was just like a room with an audio tape playing.
That was some bullshit.
Yeah.
All the shit that you've been doing.
Destiny. Yes,
Dun,
another
dun,
one.
dun.
Destiny's another one you would fix.
Watch Dogs, I would fix that.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna go outside of games real quick, we already explained how we would fix episode 1. You make Jar Jar a badass,
Oh god.
Right. Any other examples you guys have?
Or anything else?
Now, are we just talking bad games or games
Bad
with particularly
endings.
bad endings that you want to fix?
Yeah, game story or ending you would fix. It doesn't.
Because I think that's a little bit too broad. Because I'm going to be very specific. I hated the ending to Transistor. Fuck you guys for making the ending.
Ruin it, by
game.
the way,
I'm not going to ruin anything. I'm just going to say, fuck you guys. All right.
Oh man.
Like that's just uncalled for. There is no good reason for what you did there.
All right. Next thing. This is a funny one. He goes, Raiden is a better hero than Snake. Let me know why I am wrong if you disagree with this statement.
I'm gonna say this. If you think about it, Raiden is actually more of a badass than Snake is. You remember how many friggin' Metal Gears he kills at the end of Metal Gear Solid 2?
25.
25, and it gets higher on the higher difficulties, like 50 or something like that.
Doesn't
so he's more of a,
like some latent psychic abilities or some shit?
No, he's just he's like a cyborg now.
He's a cyborg.
I thought it like his reaction speed bordered on precognition or something from.
Yeah, that was never established though. But he killed all those Metal Gears without even being a cyborg. He just had a crazy ass sword. So yeah, you know what? Even though I still like Solid Snake as a character better, Raiden did kill like 50 Metal Gears. Back to back.
And not to mention, he stopped Arsenal Gear with his hands.
Yes.
And then his arms exploded.
And he also beat President, Dr. Octopus.
The president.
he beat the president.
So you know what? I'm going to give you that one. Raiden is more of a badass than Solid Snake.
But that doesn't mean you'll have to like it.
Yeah, exactly. I can't disagree with that. Yeah, come on. He beat 50 Metal Gears back to back, no breaks. Didn't even take a piss or nothing. You kill like a bunch of them on Arsenal Gun. Then not to mention Metal Gear Solid 4, where he beats the shit out of them with his hands and feet. Yes. And I'm not even talking about a Raiden from Revengeance. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, literally he's fighting like what is it? Fighting a Metal Gear hand to hand, like he grabs the friggin' it's nutty in that one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm like, to me, he's already a badass before he becomes a cyborg. When he becomes a cyborg, even more of a badass. Wait a minute. I just realized Raiden beats up on 2 American presidents in these series.
Well, he actually no, that guy was a governor.
Oh, I thought he was the president too.
No, he wasn't the president.
Okay.
He was like a crazy governor.
But he likes to beat up on politicians.
Yeah, he beats up on politicians. If you think about it, in the whole scheme of things, he literally beat up President Bush.
Yes.
In Metal Gear Solid 2. Because George Sears is the same numbered president as George Bush is.
Yeah, 43, right?
Yeah.
That's all right, so there you go. Raiden is the man. All right, G Megaforce again. All right, what are your favorite forgotten TV shows? I've been rewatching some old TV shows that weren't very popular, and I was thinking I kind of missed them since they are forgotten. Hold on, let me finish what he says. I was wondering if you guys have any shows like this. Mine are Third Watch, The New Twilight Zone with Forrest Whitaker, True Calling, Fast Lane, and the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Those are his favorite forgotten shows. Brett, you were going to jump in?
Wasn't me.
It was me. I got one. That was me.
Okay,
I got one because I just started the day I got sick. I'm like, all right, I want to watch something that everyone's talked about. I don't know how I missed it because it's been years, and I remember. I think I was going through a divorce at the time or something. But The Wire.
The Wire.
Come on.
The Wire's not a forgotten show.
That for me, that's a forgotten.
No, but it's not. No, that's a. No, you got to go deep, man. The Wire's like one of the most popular shows of all time, bro.
Yeah, not saying your forgotten shows. They're saying like, what are the shows that passed under everybody's radar?
Yeah,
right. I more think of it. You can watch The Wire. I mean, it's on some streaming.
Then that's an easy.
Wire
one.
is not a forgotten show. See, for me, like
Copper,
Copper
is a great one, and that got canceled after 2 seasons.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
What's the name of that dinosaur show on Fox? Like that was
Not the
on
Mama?
recently?
Dinosaurs?
Oh,
No, dinosaurs.
Terra Prime.
Terra Nova, I believe it
Terra
was.
Nova, yeah.
With the guy from Avatar.
Yeah, the guy who should be Cable, by the way.
Yes.
The show had dinosaurs every week. That's all I need. It was a cool show.
I like the fact that me and Brett just went to dinosaurs with that family.
Dinosaurs, man. And then that one and fucking Stargate Universe. That only lasted like 2 seasons. I like that. It was like a dark Stargate. That was really cool, you know.
I don't think it has to be short-lived. Like I'd throw Fringe in there. Like Fringe is
not forgotten though.
Yeah, but it's not forgotten. Yeah,
I know a lot of people that knew about Fringe.
Everybody
that was on Fox.
Fringe, man.
That was
huge.
You know, basic cable. I mean, basic TV. That was network TV right there.
People that watch Fringe, man.
Yeah.
All right, what about Manny? You forgotten shows?
Inferno.
Oh, I have this channel. There's this channel in Pennsylvania called Me TV, which is kind of awesome, and they just literally just show a bunch of old TV shows. So I've been watching the Telly Savalas show. I forgot the name of it.
What, Kojak?
Kojak, yeah, I've been watching Kojak, and let's see what another one I've been watching. Maddox. Maddox with what's his face? Raymond Burr. He plays like this former police officer who's like wheelchair bound, and he solves all these mysteries in a wheelchair.
What, that was that Ironsides or something, or some weird?
I think it's
Maddox was that other dude.
Oh no, wait, Maddox is the friggin' James Bond like detective show. It's the other one.
Yeah, Ironsides was Raymond Burr in the wheelchair.
Raymond Burr in the wheelchair. Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen Better Off Ted?
Is that a British show?
Nope.
Oh,
that sounds vaguely familiar.
It is. It's shot under the radar from everybody. It's got 2 seasons. It is fucking hilarious, and it is about this guy who works for a research and development company, and his boss is the sister from Arrested Development, and it is just dark and satirical and absolutely fucking hilarious. And nobody ever heard of it, and they canceled it abruptly after 2 seasons. But I still recommend watching it because even though like it ends off on like it doesn't even end on a cliffhanger, the show just kind of stops, which is sad. But the stuff that's there is really funny.
All right, what else do you guys have? Chris, do you have anything?
Yeah, I miss Street Hawk. That was like Knight Rider on a freaking bike.
Oh shit!
Happened to that guy. Love that show. There was a silly show that was a pre-Knight Rider about a car, but it was weird. It's called Automan.
Yeah, Automan. The car
was
could
like
literally
Tron, but
drive at
real.
right angles.
Yeah, it was like Tron, but he was real. He drove
Yeah.
like that.
He could literally drive down a street and it would go down right angles, and then he had like a silly glowy Tron outfit.
Yeah. There was Voyagers. That was a fun show.
Oh,
That was like
shit.
a time travel show. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember
Mhm.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
and,
shit, yo, remember? Even though it's
Sliders.
not, I was about to say, even though it's not a forgotten show, Sliders was kind of like that.
it was kind of like that. Yeah, exactly. There was Greatest American Hero.
Oh yes,
That was a
man.
fun show.
I remember
By
that.
the way, if we name cartoons, we'll be here all night, man. We could go in on old forgotten cartoons, man.
Or you could say Time Tunnel. Woo!
Time
American
Tunnel,
Hero,
man, that barely
that
lasted.
was the guy with the big afro, right? The red or
Yeah,
blonde
that was
afro. Yeah.
that was David from Wrath of Khan. That was Kirk's son.
Yeah,
That guy
yeah.
played
The Max.
There you go.
Max.
That's a forgotten
There's
show.
a good
There you
one,
go.
yeah.
That's true.
And
Does
MTV
does
some good
Firefly
shit.
count?
Yeah, Firefly. I don't know, because Firefly became really popular
Yeah.
afterwards.
I'm not sure if I heard
Jericho.
of that show.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's not forgotten. It was forgotten at the time, but it became a super cult classic.
No,
Well,
I
I-
forgot at the time. They were like, "The fuck is going on? It's on this week. It's not on this week. This is the last episode. Now we're forward 5 episodes. What happened?" And Fox is like, "Yeah, you're right. We better cancel it." And everyone was like, "No, no, 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 no,
No.
no!"
No,
Why did you
people
do that?
did
Immediately wrote a petition.
no a show people forgot about is the Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. with
Yeah, that's a forgotten
remember
show.
that one. That was
There
a
you
weird
go.
one.
Bruce Campbell, yeah.
That and Show Enough was in it. That was his.
Show enough.
that was like his last big thing. He died not too long ago.
Yeah, he died. Yeah, that was his last.
You guys ever see a show called Dead Like Me?
I know
Yeah,
that.
that was
so
a good one.
show.
She was on a show recently. Oh man, where
There was a show I used to watch on MTV called
What
Dead
show
at
was she
21.
on?
That show sucked.
Oh.
Hey, remember
Yeah.
that?
Hey, Adam, you remember that one?
Yeah.
You
I
can make
remember
one
that.
up.
That shit.
Yep. Damn.
I think you were turning 21 around the time at that as the stupid
All
show
around the
was coming
time.
out.
Yeah.
I was pretty close to 21 myself.
Oh my God, what was it?
Reality shows don't count because every reality show I've ever seen gets canceled after a season. It's hilarious, like the one with Sebastian Bach, the Rock Stars. It was like Superstar, right? Rock. No, it was Super
Rock
Group,
Love or
right? I saw that, and there was this other like boot camp reality show I watched. They canceled it after a season.
Okay. Can I ask this?
Yeah.
What are some hidden gems that you remember but would like to forget? I'll start.
Oh.
Hey, dude.
Hey,
Hey, dude, yeah.
Salute
Hey,
your
dude.
shorts.
Salute your shorts.
Salute your shorts.
Salute to Ben bringing it back.
The Adventures of Pete and Pete.
Oh,
This is all
that was
Nickelodeon
a good-
show.
that was a good
That's
show,
a-
though. That was a good show, though.
The Adventures of Pete and Pete is a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, it kind of is. I used to
Small
watch that
Wonder.
show all the time.
Small
Small
Wonder with
Wonder
the
Years.
little robot girl.
Wonder Years.
Yeah. Oh my god.
The Wonder Years is such a gay show, and I watched so many episodes of it.
Well then throw Alf in there.
Oh, Elf too.
I don't
Yeah,
know
forgotten
if,
shit.
if you take Alf back. Alf was always goofy and ate cats. That's like saying Married with Children. I think that one's okay.
Family Matters was so dumb.
Like to me, Al
Yeah.
Bundy was like my hero growing up, man. Like everything I learned about being a man, I learned from Al Bundy.
No pig.
No pig. By the way, yo, have you seen the girl who was Small Wonder nowadays, man? She got some big titties, man.
No.
Damn, you look her up. Gorgeous. All right. Let's move on here. Where the fuck was I? Okay.
What is she doing now? Is she still acting?
She's looking good. That's all I care about. By the way, Sarah Connor Chronicles was actually a pretty fun show. I used to watch that.
Yeah.
The other ones I
Oh, you saw the news though about speaking of Terminator, right?
Yeah, reboot.
again.
Yeah.
Again?
Well, here's the difference. James Cameron is in charge of it this time.
Really?
Oh.
So he's going to negate. Because he's getting the rights back to the Terminator in 2019. So what he's doing is he's taking the reins on the whole thing, and I think it's going to be a weird reboot. But it's going to have nothing to do with the original, with the last film, the Genesis film.
Ugh.
Which I've seen that film.
Yeah, I've seen it too, man. He was trash. Okay. Oh, by the way, I do want to quickly say I actually did enjoy the Twilight Zone with Forrest Whitaker. They were trying. They did a good mix of like new shit and then remastered old episodes, if you know what I mean. Those are like there was this one episode. Remember, I forgot what it was called. But
the one with Leonard Nimoy.
No, not that one. Basically, there was a town, right, and people didn't know who was the communist like invader, right? But it turned out to be aliens. But in this one, they replaced the communists with Islamic terrorists. But the ending was still the same. It was aliens fucking with them, doing an experiment on them. It was pretty cool.
Black Mirror is the new Twilight Zone.
Yeah, Black Mirror.
That, yeah. All right, let's move on here. Okay, what was the last game influenced dream you've had? I found myself having Dark Souls dreams a lot last year. When I really get into a game, I tend to dream about being in that world quite a bit. Years back, it was Street Fighter and Final Fantasy. Does this happen to any of you guys? I used to have them. Like the last ones I remember vividly were Mass Effect. Like I would dream in was it the bubble, the answer bubble shit? Like every time I would talk to someone, dialogue bubbles. Like every time I would talk to someone in a dream, like dialogue bubble would show up, and I would have a choice. So I dreamed like that when I was a little kid. When I used to have fever dreams, I would think I was fucking Mario and shit, jumping on turtles and stuff. But I noticed as I've gotten older, I have less of those. In general, I just don't remember dreams as much. So if I'm having them, I'm forgetting them. I think I may have had a Final Fantasy 15 one like a few months ago. I may have been fishing. I'm not sure, but because inside I wake up, I forget my fucking dreams. But yeah, those were pretty fun. But Mass Effect, that's one that's always in it. Oh, when I was Grand Theft Auto, man, I used to fuck around in my dreams doing crazy shit too, Yeah,
I don't remember. I sleep so heavily. I don't really remember any of my dreams.
All right, Chris.
I've had Halo dreams. Usually, like an FPS dream. Well, an FPS game will get in my dream. I've had Call of Duty dreams where I've been on Normandy or in some town in France, and I'm like literally getting shot at. I've had Halo dreams where I see the Covenant ships flying over me, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, how did I get here? I just have a gun in my hand, and I'm like, oh,
that shit's better than VR, man.
And they're always vividly colors, especially when I had Halo dreams. They were the colors were like exploding. It was like I was in a neon world.
Oh shit!
Damn.
Yeah, but the World War II ones were brutal. I was like freaking out when I woke up.
Hey, Chris, I'm surprised you didn't have like dreams about scanning planets.
Oh yeah,
because you used to fall asleep scanning planets during Mass Effect.
Yeah, you know what? I never had a Mass Effect dream. That's interesting. I don't know why.
I used to have even dialogue wheels, man. That shit was funny. And the thing is, when I dream, I know I'm dreaming. I'm like, yo, really? We're having these kind of dreams now? It's hilarious.
I've had dreams where I'm playing. Like, that's it. I remember I've had dreams where I'm playing a game, and then I wake up and I'm like, I don't even own that game.
What pissed me off? I used to dream I'd be playing a game I really, really wanted, and I wake up and be mad upset because I can't actually play it. It's like, fuck, man, I can't play God of War 5 right now.
The one that I remember vividly about that was for Mortal Kombat, and it was on the PlayStation 1. Because I remember I was getting hyped to get it. I was like, I got to get a PlayStation. I don't know how I'm going to do it. No one wanted to give me money. My mother was like, I have enough Nintendos. She was like, you got a whole bunch. I'm like, no. And
this is the Nintendo.
Exactly. I had a whole bunch of them. So I remember that was it EB Games was doing that trade-in where it's like, oh, you give us 2 consoles. We'll take 100 off for each console, and then you can give us like 10 games. That's another 100. I'm like, what was it? PlayStation was like $300 or something. So I'm like, all right. I gave them my Sega CD. I gave them something else. I think it was the Sega Genesis with it. The Sega CD part counted as console. And then a buddy of mine gave me his Super Nintendo. Later, it turns out it was his brother's Super Nintendo. And he didn't know his brother still wanted it because it was in the closet with all the games. And when I told him about it, he came over with the system and all these games. I'm like, he's going to be cool with it? He's like, yeah, whatever. He don't care. He cared. But I just remember because we were like, all right, we grabbed all this shit. We went down there. We traded everything in. I was able to get, had enough money to get a PlayStation, an extra controller, Mortal Kombat, and that not the X Games. It was like, remember you could luge and bike and do all this roller skating.
I thought you got loaded at that time too.
Maybe Loaded also. I know that those two for sure. I definitely had
Or Load.
Load. That was such a fun game. They need to bring that back.
All right.
Right? And that was
go
it.
ahead.
Yeah,
All right.
no, but then just I knew that was what I was gonna get though beforehand, and I remember that night just dreaming that I was already on the train, that I had picked up the system, that I plugged it in, that I was playing, Mortal Kombat, and I woke up, I'm like, shit's not here. Me and my buddy, we didn't go to school because we used to go to school together. We'd walk to school. I'm like, yo, we need to do this now. He's like, whatever. And we just went, we grabbed everything, went on the train, went to the city. It was crazy.
That's awesome. All right, Brett, what you got?
I think it's mute.
Oh, there we go.
There you are.
I got lost in the story. What question are we on?
Have you ever had any dreams influenced by games?
Okay, that's what I thought. No, not really. I mean, I don't remember a whole lot of my dreams, and I've been sleeping fitfully for like the last 3 years. So, like, I don't really have time to hit a lot of REM cycle, I don't think, to be honest. I fell into a habit when taking care of Rachel of getting up every 4 hours, and I'm still woken up out of sleep. So, I don't dream much. When I do, I don't really remember it. But I would say the most would be actually D&D. I'm playing D&D, and I'm not sure if it's just because you're already imagining these things, and they come back. Like last night, I remember a dream very vaguely about goblins, but they were like bad goblins, which sounds weird. But anybody who's played D&D with us, like Rachel was the goblin queen, so we always had a band of goblins with us, and like I was, loved goblins. They're horrific little awesome monsters. But in my dream, they were pretty much like drawn like really fucked up and kind of scary and dark and dirty. So who knows what the fuck that means? But
what about from the old days and stuff when you were younger? You remember any of those?
I'm trying to
Because
yeah,
I'm kind of in the same
Dynasty Warriors when I was playing that with my buddy.
There you go. Yeah, because again, I'm having a hard time myself with like current days. Again, I don't remember my dreams anymore. When I was a kid, I used to have tons of video game dreams, man. All right, Carlos, man, what about you?
I don't remember. Not recently, and if I did, I wouldn't remember.
All right, I guess that's that. And the last question here, this is an interesting one. What's your quote unquote mind cleanser game? So after a bad day of Dota, a shitty round of Overwatch, a tough day at work, or just some gaming fatigue, what's the game or games you bust out to kick you out of that funk?
That's easy.
Funk that. All right, Adam, since it's easy, you go first.
Oh, FIFA.
That's
it. Just jump in FIFA and just run around, or just go against somebody online. Just playing FIFA. It's mindless. Just run around, kick a ball. That's it.
Yeah. For me, it's whatever game I'm currently playing. I don't have a go-to game. I'm like, hey, I want to play this now. Whatever the hell I'm playing, that's the game that's like, okay, everything just shut off. I'm playing this game now. But again, I'm not playing like, okay, I feel bad today. I'm playing because I generally I'm like normal or whatever. It's like, if the day if it's been a long day, then I'm like, okay, I need to fucking relax. Whatever game I'm currently playing, that's what that's what I use to cleanse, I guess. I don't really have a backup game,
It's weird because when I want to relax, I don't play video games. Like video games normally doesn't relax me. I don't know.
Have you tried Stardew Valley?
I heard that's a relaxing game.
It really is.
That's
a relaxing, fun kind of calm down game, but it's also not. I don't understand the concept of, and this sounds weird coming out of my mouth, the idea of like, I've gamed so much, now I'm going to jump onto more gaming. Like, I barely have the time to do the first part of that. Like, I barely have the time to find a good time to game, much less get done with that game and still have time for more game.
Isn't that the equivalent of like a chaser? You know what I mean? It's like a gaming chaser. That's weird. It's like, I'm already drinking. I don't need another drink. I'm good.
Normally, I go to Netflix.
Yeah, you do something that's not even game related. But I mean, I think he was talking about like, I'm not taking a break from gaming, but really just taking a break from the things in your, that make you always feel better by playing.
Well, I noticed he also pointed out competitive games. So I can understand like getting your ass handed to you in competitive games. Be like, you know what? I'm just gonna go play something fun. And yeah, in that instance,
that's not mentally involving like a lot of story driven games are. I've had moments like that where it's like I don't want to get invested in a story game because I know I'm gonna be up for hours.
Yep.
It's just a little something you can kind of mess with and then just go on your way. At least that's the way I see it.
This is a great point to actually introduce. A game that I think would actually be good for this has anybody actually looked at not Final Fantasy 15, but the Final Fantasy stat game, the World of Final Fantasy?
Oh yeah, the
that's the one
cutesy game. Yeah.
Dude, I bought that game.
I know it's a cutesy game, and that threw me off.
No.
It's
It's a good look. It's a good game.
Brett, check this out. Before you go on, I just like everybody else, I looked at the game. I'm like, what the fuck is this cheapy shit? I played a demo. I'm like, what is this nonsense? But the deeper I got into, I'm like, this is fun. This is really cool. And then I finished the demo. It was like 30 minutes. Like, I'm buying this fucking game now. That was a lot of fun because it was old school Final Fantasy, turn based, all that other shit. Now,
it's old school Final Fantasy meets Pokemon.
It
is just to throw it out there because it hit me like a ton of bricks as I actually looked into it. This game flew under the radar for a whole lot of people. It's basically a game that controls like old Final Fantasy. It's turn based. It has all your menus, and you go out and capture enemies. And you use those enemies to either ride on top of them by turning yourself into a chibi form. You can stack them up, and it gives you different abilities. So it is essentially Final Fantasy meets Pokemon. And I'm just fucking shocked that more people aren't talking about this game because the formula for it seems amazing.
Well, they released this game like not too far away from the Final Fantasy everyone was waiting for.
I know.
Final Fantasy 15 is overshadowing it, bro. That's the problem. But the funny thing is, there's a lot of people out there. It's like, guys, World of Final Fantasy was the better Final Fantasy game last year. Why aren't you talking about this game?
So I felt compelled since I just found out what this game is, and I'm like, actually, now for the first time I have a backlog because I just bought a bunch of $5 games. But
shit, my man.
I'm actually like, wow, now I'm interested. And as nobody had sat me down and went, bro, it's kind of like Final Fantasy, but Pokemon. And I don't mean the shitty parts of Pokemon. I mean like the part of Pokemon like monster capturing that you also enjoyed in like Azure Dreams. And immediately I was like, oh, so I get to capture Final Fantasy monsters like the little cactus guy and all the Final Fantasy monsters that I've come to know and love, and
Tomberry.
Yeah, and I get to train them, and you can evolve them different ways, and they change forms and shit. And they give you like different powers. Like this actually sounds really cool. This sounds like a love letter to retro gamers. And so I figured, while we're on the note of games that you can just kind of chill out to, everybody should check that out. I guess I can't give it my gold star because I haven't picked it up, but. Everybody be aware of it, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mentioned this.
Listen, I just got to say this. If you can name me another game where you could ride on top of Behemoth while wearing a cactuar on your head, I'd like to hear the name of that game. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead, Chris.
No, I was recommending this last year when everybody was talking about 15. I mentioned, like, how about World of Final Fantasy? Because I felt that was closer to what Final Fantasy was. And I compared it more to Bravely Default.
Yeah, that's Bravely Default, another underrated game. Fantastic game, man.
Yeah, so those are, but Brett's right. Like that game doesn't get enough shine. And if you love Final Fantasy, you should play that game.
Yeah, man.
I would suggest a Gravity Rush.
That's a chill game to me.
Either one of those games, because there's all the storylines are very, very truncated, and a lot of the fun of Gravity Rush is floating around the world and exploring it.
Yeah, I spent hours just collecting gems.
Yeah,
collecting those gems. Yeah, man, it's addicting because they hide them in all kinds of. They always like to hide them on the bottom of the giant floating islands or in these little tiny coves and things.
So, Manny, would you say Gravity Rush is one of those cleanser games?
I wouldn't say it's a cleanser game, but I do say it's a very relaxing sort of game. There's urgency, but it's not pushing you down that road constantly. Like, you gotta find out, it's not like that. It's like they just kind of let you, and even more so this one where they have this kind of funky like online aspect thing where people can hide stuff in your game, like hide treasures and stuff, and you use photos to kind of find out where they are.
Neat.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Brett.
I always enjoyed, believe it or not, settlement tending in Fallout. Like that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about Fallout was that you could go off, do a bunch of stuff, get blown up by a nuke several times, and then be like, you know what? I'm just gonna go back and farm some fucking mud fruit and build myself a new shack and just go in and have that kind of little homesteading thing. I'm hoping that enough, and I know a bunch of people reacted really well to that. So I'm hoping that the idea of that kind of survival base building, resource collecting game is if not going to be in the next Elder Scrolls, like I'm hoping it spawns its own kind of new game, because you don't see a whole lot of building games on consoles, and it's very kind of calm and cathartic, like just going out and collecting some steel and then bringing it back and then breaking it down, turning into a wall, and then adding it to the piece right here, and then making a skylight, planting some crops. Like
I think the collecting aspect of certain games is somehow weirdly relaxing.
when you give it context, yeah, like I hate collecting gems, but if you're like, go collect some wood to build this thing, oh man, I'm all about it. I'm out there, I'm chopping fucking trees, enjoying, like I'm enjoying myself. And that's the weird thing. It's like you give me a fetch quest, I'm like, but then you give me the ability to harvest resources to make something. And like, I want to make a little shack and make a little fire, and then I'm proud of it. And I want to defend it. And like, I'm invested in the game now, not just because I put time into it, because I've got this cool little thing. And that investment makes me want to share it on social media, on Facebook, or with all my friends. That makes them a mad at game. That makes something viral, and the game fucking takes off. Like, I don't understand how this isn't a formula that game makers have picked up on. And like I said, I'm really hoping it's in the next Skyrim, because as much as I love like traipsing through ruins and everything like that, like I straight up can't play Fallout anymore. So I'm really looking forward to going out into the wilderness to cut down trees to help make a log cabin in Elder Scrolls or whatever.
I mean, you in general, you like in general, for at least for me too, it's like you at least like to have be able to have control over something specific. Like, in other words, there's always going to be that river that you're going to have to roll down in order to complete the narrative. But it is nice to have some progress, where it's like the further you've gotten, the more things you get to customize your building or whatever you have. I mean, that's always fun.
Yeah, exactly. And then like, yeah, it's and so I don't even know that it needs to necessarily be the different games, but if you can affect something in your game, like even down to like the old, even down to Skyrim, like with the more you stole in the Thieves Guild, the better the Thieves Guild got. Like there are these kind of light missions where you're just kind of fun grinding, I guess, would be the kind of that it's that monotony tone that I talk about. It's a sort of satisfying monotony. It's scanning planets, it's cutting down trees, it's building an engine block for this spaceship that you're trying to use as a miner. I feel like games a lot of times have focused so much on the go part that they've forgotten that part of executing a good plan is building that good plan and having that satisfaction. So I don't know that there's necessarily a lot of games where it's just that, because I don't enjoy a lot of games where it's just like, I don't enjoy SimCity because there's build, nah, fuck it, whatever. But I think there are aspects of games, and I think Manny said it best, where you can manage aspects of the world, and that gives you a good thing to kind of do on downtime. Those are the most satisfying to me.
All right. Anybody else got any cleanser games they want to talk about real quick?
Another one was Crackdown. Old game Crackdown, just collecting orbs. That was fun because you had to follow the sound, and especially if you turn crime off, you just jumped around.
All right, cool. All right, go
I
ahead.
love the Necro Dancer.
I was gonna say Just Cause, because I love to blow things up and see them get destroyed.
Yes.
So that was a fun game. It was just over the top, especially the third game.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Over the top. Yeah. So that was
Awesome.
a good cleansing game. Just blow something up.
All right, moving on here, Mr. Corey Dillons. All right, as a newcomer to the PC master race, there are some games coming out soon that I really want to play on my machine. The problem is that many PC ports have been trashed lately. Since one of my most anticipated games this year is Mass Effect Andromeda, and I'd like to buy it for PC. My question to the Throwdown crew is whether or not you think I should hold off on buying Andromeda or dive right in on PC. It's a valid question.
Corey Dillon, as a white male, I would probably recommend boycotting it.
Oh shit!
Damn.
Related to what we
Because
talked
everybody
about
who
last
made this
week.
game hates you. So
Oh shit.
Yeah, if you're white, don't buy this game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you buy a game on PC now, you're kind of taking a risk, man. You know, we've seen a lot of shitty ports lately, so it's a tough one. I mean, I pre-ordered the game for PC. I'm getting it, but it could suck. You know, it could be really shitty. Who knows?
I don't think they would screw it up. I don't know. I have a feeling. I'm gonna get it. I'll get on the PS4 though. You know,
I'm gonna wait to hear that it's
got the
good
Pro,
and
so.
not rage inducing.
Yeah,
'Cause-
no, that's fair.
And I don't mean that like I'm getting up on my soapbox here, you know, I'm defending the honor of white men. Like it's not even like that. It's just like the fucking attitude of the people who made this game seems super preachy and ham-fisted, and I can't help but feel like this is going to be a game with several at least 5 ham-fisted social justice warrior moments in it. Like it's like just, and I don't want to roll my eyes so hard they fall out of their sockets and I can't play any more video games. So I'm gonna be real sure that this game isn't just because it's not part of the previous Mass Effect narrative either. Like they have free reign to just make up whatever story they want, and you can be goddamn sure it's going to be socially relevant. So I don't know that the game isn't going to be just a narrative train wreck to begin with.
By the
So if
way,
you didn't-
Corey, you know, he's white as well. He says he appreciates your advice, Brett.
For me, I mean, I would say, Corey, look at look at what EA's track record is on the PC. What was the last Mass Effect like on PC?
The last Mass Effect didn't even have control options.
So yeah, so you gotta look at what their previous history. And you know, here's the thing: you also don't need to buy that game on day one. You could just wait for some decent reviews to say this game is shit, or you know, oh my god, this is the best PC version of a game ever made.
Yeah, just wait a couple weeks on all fronts. Just wait. Don't pre-order the game on anything. Wait a few weeks. It'll come out. Then you'll either hear all and this is me projecting my own bias. Like you'll find out whether or not there's a bunch of like oh, like you're being forced into a lesbian scene and we think that's progressive. Like that shit will pop up on the news. And if you're like me and you just find like ham-fisting virtue signaling like infuriating, you'll see that, or you'll see if there's any weird inflammatory like unnecessarily political correctness, and you'll see whether it runs like shit on a PC, or you'll see whether they're you know it's broken on console and they're waiting for the second patch. It's not the day one patch, and that's going to come out in 3 weeks. Just wait a couple weeks and you'll know everything you need to know.
Let me add, just as a personal note, I am not looking forward to Mass Effect Andromeda at all.
Why is that, Manny?
Because I don't care. Nothing about that game says something that I want to play.
Did you play you played the previous ones though, right?
I played the previous ones, but I'm looking at this and I'm not seeing anything special. To be honest, it looks like more of the same. It looks like more of the same bullshit, more of the same shit than last time.
We haven't really seen.
I wasn't pissed off about the ending, either one of those endings. But I just feel like this one just doesn't look like something I want to play.
See, man, that's where I'm coming from, and that's probably why I'm having the reaction that I am. Like, it seems like they've created all these assets, this world, even some art assets, you know, this plot, this backstory, and now they're just okay. What can we put in this world? And so you basically have this pre-created world, and then you put into it a team of people who have a very clear viewpoint that they're wanting to show or exploit, and that's why I'm like, I feel like this game is just. It runs the risk of being virtue signaling or just really heavy-handed, thematics of current social structures jammed into the skin of Mass Effect. It doesn't feel like they have a story to tell, so they're just going to do a lot of social commentary.
And that stuff aside, I mean, we've only seen the same stupid level over and over again, and just maybe a couple shots of that rock level or that weird well of whatever it's called, and it just doesn't seem that interesting to me. It's like we're not dealing with the that was the cool part of the original game where you're dealing with the Citadel and all that other stuff, and they showed you all of that. But this always looks like we're just looking at the same planet and that stupid giant, like glowing thing.
I don't know why they didn't go with another Knights of the Old Republic game instead of going for Mass Effect.
I mean, I understand why they're
Mass
going
Effect
for
is
Mass
more
Effect
popular, that's
because
why.
it's more popular.
Why? And it's better too.
With the Star Wars movies and everything, like really?
No, well, because the last Knights of the Old Republic game wasn't really seen.
But that was a
It was
Bioware
an
though.
MMO. Of course, it got watered down. It was an MMO.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
No, that's the
I
Old
think,
Republic.
Yeah, well, the thing is that was the one. That was the one. No, they did make a recent one. Wasn't David Hayter the voice of the?
Well, they made Knights of the Old Republic 2, but that wasn't Bioware. I think that was someone else.
No, that was
that was
still
someone else.
BioWare.
Yeah, that was still Bioware, and that was a great game. And then they're like, Knights of the Old Republic 3 is going to be the one that's online, and with expansions, it'll be 4, 5, and 6 as well. And the gamer RPG in me let out a silent scream of horror that continues to this day.
Yeah, Knights of the
still
Old Republic
screaming.
wasn't BioWare.
No, Knights of the Old
I don't
Republic, the MMO, wasn't BioWare.
I remember part 2 being BioWare. You know, what's the name of that studio? Obsidian? Wasn't those guys? I don't know, but anyway,
Was it them? But yeah, like again, going back to Mass Effect, I really haven't seen anything that makes me interested in it, other than the name of the game. And to be honest, I don't. Nobody. The game is almost here, and I still haven't seen anything that's impressive.
Yeah. So to go back to the question,
I was right. It was Obsidian that did that shit. I knew Obsidian always does like sequels of like games that the main company doesn't do. You know, they're like known for that shit.
But Manny, maybe they're not releasing that much information because they just don't want to spoil anything regarding the new world.
New Vegas. I knew it was those guys.
I'm not seeing anything. Like, even if it's not, like, you just show me a fucking ship. We haven't seen the ship. We haven't seen any armor. We haven't seen any of the other types. We haven't seen anything. We just keep seeing that same level over and over again.
All right. Any other advice to him? I mean, what about it just in general? PC games? Should you wait until they release or what?
Yeah, you should wait till they release to see if it's broken or not. If the game is completely broken, you're gonna feel pissed off. You're gonna feel cheated. Wait a few days to look at reviews, see if the game is broken or not. If it plays well in other people's hands, then get it. You know.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, skip it.
What's going on?
What's that?
I'm looking. I was like, "What is the plot?" Just because I've been talking about this. This seems rife for virtue signal. Okay, Mass Effect Andromeda takes place in an Andromeda galaxy far beyond the Milky Way, where players will lead the fight for a new home in in history territory, where we are the aliens, opposed by a deadly indigenous race bent on stopping us. We're the bad guys.
Yeah, the game sounds like Mass Effect Voyager. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. We're stuck here.
We know.
You know,
and then we're gonna get 7 of 9, and then the show's people are gonna give a shit about the show, about the game.
Well, here's the thing about Mass Effect.
That was pretty good. I missed it.
If you don't like this game, you can just get the next one because now they're gonna be anthology games. No more trilogies. They're not doing that anymore. You know. All right, moving on here. Next question. Do you think Microsoft will reveal Scorpio at E3 or before E3? Do you think they'll have some huge third-party exclusive announcement planned despite Phil's comments regarding such deals? All right, so when are we going to see Scorpio, at E3 or before? I think they're going to show it before E3.
Private event.
Before E3.
I think they're going to show it before E3, and then E3 itself will be focused on the games.
And then those games are never going to come out.
Wasn't there some kind of
Axeman? He's coming.
Wasn't there some kind of rumor that they were going to try to do their own like special like PlayStation event, but it'll be an Xbox event?
I didn't hear that shit. Where did I hear that?
It was a while ago when they were talking about
listening to Big Gamer Small Talk. He heard it.
No, it was when they were talking because I think it was just something that people snippet from when Phil Spencer was talking about.
What are they going to show? They're going to have fucking gears?
He said it was going to be a big event. He said when it comes out, we're going to have a full lineup. We're going to have this, and that. And it just sounded like it needed its own event, its own show for it.
Okay. I see what I thought you were talking about, like a PlayStation experience, you know? No, yeah, I think I could see that. Like they're having their own Microsoft event.
No,
like,
they're gonna do like what Sony did.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Sure. It's definitely gonna. It's not gonna have at E3. E3 is about games.
Yeah.
You know?
No. Yeah, E3. Well, they're going to show up. Well, they're going to have a really good. I predict that Microsoft is going to have another decent year of showing off games, but I also feel like at the same time, maybe a lot of those games might get axed.
Oh, yeah,
I-
exactly.
It's funny how everyone like is catching on. I've been saying this shit for years, man.
Yeah.
Here's
How
the
they
thing:
listen to you,
if you
son.
think about it, that could also be Phil Spencer cleaning house,
Could be.
because those are leftovers from the last regime on Xbox.
It's funny you mention that because I've heard some of the Xbox guys saying that 2017 is the first year Phil Spencer is really running the ship, because he's had it, like you said, he's cleaning house, from other shit that happened. So we'll see. But yeah, what about the third party games? Or you think you're going to do exclusives? I don't think you're going to do third party exclusives. I think that's
No.
I don't think so.
because remember, Phil Spencer said himself, maybe he'll back away from that, but I don't think that's going to happen. Especially Sony's going to be like, not Sony. What company's going to go? I'm going to do exclusives on Microsoft, 26 million versus PlayStation on 53 million.
I mean, if the money's right, then
It's all about the money.
Microsoft, they do have money, but we'll see about that. I don't think after Tomb Raider bombed like
I don't
that.
think-
Titanfall too.
Yeah, Titanfall. They're not doing that shit.
I don't think we'll ever see at least another full year exclusive rights. Maybe a few months. I could see like 3 months or 6 months tops. But a full year, that's too long.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Too long.
I
Right,
don't understand why Microsoft isn't seeding development companies at this point. Like,
They
I
should.
get,
Yeah,
I get that you can't buy big games now, but like that should be the thing where, there's a lot of, especially because you are a computer company. I realize Steam is its own thing, but they're running on your fucking platform. You already have a test bed for small developers who make good games. You find these people who are doing well, you invest a little on the back end of the project they're currently on, with the caveat of you lock them in for the exclusive on their next project. You then help curate them and their project with, people higher up in the company, people who have done this kind of thing before, and you bring a game to fruition that you now have exclusivity rights to. Like, it's fucking like that's how Dota got started. That's how Portal got started. Like, it's a formula that fucking works. And you have the money to seed 12 different games, and only if 3 of them come out to be good and make it to the end of development.
Don't you know how Microsoft works, though? They buy those things.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. They need to move away from buying those things.
They saw that Halo was getting a lot of attention. So what they do, they snatch the IP and the company.
Yeah, but they don't have the money. They don't have the money to do that anymore. With PlayStation outselling them 2-1, Sony now has the pocketbook to fight back against that kind of thing. So the only thing you can do is catch them young.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. But I don't believe that Microsoft exactly is looking at that sort of stuff. They're looking at things that are definite hits, as opposed to investing in the future.
Oh yeah, no, that's what they are doing.
They don't have a studio. They don't have a studio. They don't have a studio like a lot of the Sony studios, where they're not only doing these kind of big things, but they're also doing these kind of funky experimental things at the same time.
I would, if I were Microsoft, I would create a competition of even yearly of just indie games made by independent studios of 12 or 12 or less people, and the prize would be like fucking 50 grand and an exclusive contract with Microsoft, and you run this shit like 2 times a year, and you'll come up with some fucking winners without spending the money that you are trying to buy fully fledged developed mature games.
Wasn't that Xbox Arcade?
Yep.
That was supposed to be. They never fucking did it.
What about some of them? They picked up some of the studios. Remember?
Wait. What about it at Xbox? They still got that shit going,
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're still doing it. I mean, again, the only problem is like the actual Xbox fans buying these games, which they don't.
Yeah, I mean, they could be making all these. They could be making all these wonderful, revolutionary, experimental games up the ass. But does that speak to the Microsoft Xbox fan?
No, but it speaks to the PC fan, and then builds the library on their Xbox. So eventually, and that's the problem. Like, people like us who aren't, like Call of Duty bro shooter people, like
meathead gamers.
Yeah, we're not necessarily drawn to the Xbox, but if they expanded their library to have experimental and mature games, we could be drawn back. And because Microsoft sits in both PC and console, they can basically just leverage the PC side. And that's the thing. There's so many games on PC right now that would be awesome to have on consoles, but they're just not being ported over. And
Yeah,
a
but
big
again,
portion
I
of this
think
is because you can't. But
yeah, no, they could do it. It's just Microsoft's probably like, no one's gonna buy these games.
no,
anyway.
they can't. The processors in the consoles are too weak.
With some indie games, really?
Dude, you can't even run a proper Minecraft on.
Well, that's Minecraft. I'm talking about littler shit, you know, not like non-open world games, like just little, you know.
Dude,
indie
and that's what I'm
games.
saying. Like a lot of the games that are being made now are open world, or you have some degree of being able to change the environment, even if it's down to like just No Man's Sky and the ability to like build on planets and things like that. Like you look at a lot of Steam's best sellers, and they're either ports of AAA games or something where you can affect the environment. Survival games are fucking huge, man. They're one of the biggest genres on PC right now.
Did you
Yeah,
see?
hey, they got Ark on
Yeah.
that fucking
Did you-
Xbox, bro.
Did you see?
That's also on PlayStation.
Did you see
Yeah, I know.
Steam's top selling games for 2016, and all the games were released in like 2014 and 2015. It's like nothing from 2016. It's just people still playing old shit.
Yeah. All right, let's move on here. Last question from Mr. Corey Dillon. What are your thoughts on Nintendo expecting to sell 40 million Switches by 2020?
They won't have that many manufacturers.
I don't have a laugh track that could run that long.
Yeah, Manny, you got a laugh track, don't you, over there? We'll come
No,
up
we
with
don't
No,
have
that
laugh
could run
track.
till 2020.
that. Could
Make me laugh. That thought.
hell no,
Wait,
they're not gonna have
wait,
that
we
many.
still have the sound effects. Google hasn't gotten rid of them yet.
Yeah. Oh, you sounded high like me.
Oh, I'm sounding high now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I sounded like. Man, that's brutal.
Yeah.
All right, I'll be back.
Yeah, see, Manny at least has the option to drop out and come back. You know, yeah, no fucking way are they gonna sell that many? Again, because I don't think you're gonna manufacture that many. You know,
Right.
Yeah.
What are the sales numbers on the Game Boy?
the original Game Boy
No, the new one, and I'm still always going to call it a Game Boy.
with the 3DS.
Yes.
right?
Well, the 3DS sold, I think, 62 million
Yeah.
today. It's around there.
Yeah, that's a large
I-
install base.
The
I could
3DS
believe
was
that.
successful, man.
See, now this is
Am I
wait.
still-
Now this is what pisses me off. I brought this. Well, I didn't bring this up, but I was thinking about this the other day because I brought in my 3DS XL with the nub, the new one. I brought it to work, and a buddy was like, "Oh wow, that's cool. When did that come?" Because he has the old one. I'm like, "What? This is like 2015." And he was like, "Yeah." And then now they got this new thing. So what's going to happen to that? I mean, what new stuff came out for it? And I'm like, "You're right. Nothing new came out that
Yeah,
could really
3DS
support
sold
it."
basically 62 million
It was
worldwide.
like, was it Xenogear, I think, or whatever? Was
That's
the only one?
game, man.
Yeah.
Yo, that new 3DS. There's only 2 games on it that actually are made for that system.
Yeah, and I'm like,
That's
you're
it.
right. I'm like, man, nothing came out.
Hey, man,
supporting it, really.
man.
Yo,
There you are.
Oh man,
Hi guys, how you doing?
They're
you can't
much
kill
better.
it off. You can't kill it off though.
Remember me, Eddie, when I killed your brother?
I should have said that.
Yes. Right.
Too high of an install base.
I agree with that. I'm like, and I think the thing a lot of people want to keep in mind is this is replacing the install base for the handheld. This is their new handheld, and I think
Yes.
this is something people have to wrap their brain around. Like, will this sell 60 million copies or 60 million units in the next 3 years as Nintendo's new high-powered handheld? Yeah, I think it could. They're gonna fucking lock down the handheld market.
No,
No.
it won't, and I'll tell you why. It won't get third-party support. It already has lukewarm because that is not how publishers see it. The switch to publishers is a console replacement. It is Wii U 2. It is a Wii U gamepad where you can slide off the sides and dock it and play it on your TV. To publishers and developers, that is a console.
But what about the publishers who are already publishing for the 3DS?
They're not going to publish for that. They're not going to switch over and waste the soft dollars until this thing proves itself in the market because the Wii U was a failure.
But
Wait,
if they tell them this is the new handheld, we're not making another 3DS. This
Yeah,
is
but
the
that's
new
not.
3DS.
It has the pedigree of the console. 1-2 switch, all that stuff, move controls. That is the pedigree of the consoles for the last decade. That is not a handheld thing. They're not marketing it as a handheld. That
But I'm
presentation
not sure
was
that
not
matters.
for a handheld.
I'm not sure that matters to the develop. Like, if you're developing for the 3DS and I come to you and go, okay, we're not making another handheld. We're making this. It's a handheld and a console in one. You think they're going to say, well, we're just not going to make a game for that?
Yes, because it doesn't have the features that you need to compete in the handheld market. to date.
Like-
The 3DS, another 3DS would not succeed either in this market, not with tablets and things the way they are. Another handheld would fail in this market.
So you're saying that the Switch fails as a handheld?
It fails on every level. It fails on
Interesting.
every level.
I,
This thing
I-
will not get support. There's the support that it needs. It doesn't have the features that it needs. It doesn't have the power that it needs. It fails on every level.
The
And
big
it will not sell even close to 3DS numbers, let alone I don't think it will sell as well as the Wii U.
Whoa. Back up. Chris,
Yeah.
did you just say that the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo's new console, will not sell as much as the abysmally horribly selling Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Wii U? Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, that's my prediction. I think they
Oh.
may top out at 8 to 10 million tops.
Damn! Wait, hold on a second. So by 2020, that's how many you think is going to sell?
Yes, because they would have collapsed by then.
Damn, son.
Yeah, so you're saying so Chris, you're saying that the Wii U, I mean the Nintendo Switch will not be able to go over the numbers currently of the supposed dead PlayStation Vita,
Oh,
Yeah. No,
No,
it
no,
won't.
Chris,
It won't. It won't be the Vita. No.
Let me
which
ask you
is
this.
still which the Vita is still selling more than Wii U.
No, no, Wii U, yeah.
Chris, let me ask you this. Would
Yeah.
that change if they put a Pokemon game on the Switch?
No.
Yes. So here's
No,
the issue
no,
with,
it won't. It won't because they're gonna put enhanced version of Pokemon Sun and Moon that people can already buy. That is not enough reason. If they do the alleged Pokemon Stars, that's like Platinum versus Diamond and Pearl. If I don't have to pay for that, if I don't have to buy $300+ system, I can play Pokemon Sun and Moon right now on the thing I have. Then I'm gonna opt for that, and so will most people.
No. I mean,
No.
if they made a new Pokemon exclusively for the Switch that was akin to, half a degree from it's because everybody wants Pokemon on console, but they won't do it because it has to be on a handheld. This could actually be just the right amount where they could convince people, yeah, well, we can make a console Pokemon because you can still put it in your pocket. So still, it's technically Pocket Monsters, and we're over whatever weird stick up our ass was keeping us from making money.
Yeah. Well, watch.
And with the success of Pokemon Go, I feel like all they need is that one thing.
See, Brett, but what you say makes sense, and they don't do things like that. They're stubborn to a fault, and they don't even know how to look at this thing. So they're gonna treat it like a console, which is the games we saw already. They're treating it like, oh, we can compete with consoles, but you can take it with you. It's a console you can take with you, and you have to think of it in those terms. It's not a handheld that you can put on your TV. It's a console that you can take with you.
They
So
need
if
to
they
switch
think
their
of that in that terms, then they will not bring Pokemon to it. It would make too much sense.
Do you think that this could succeed if they change their message and they got everybody to look at this as the new handheld that hooks up to your TV?
Yeah,
Or do you
but they
think it would
won't
still be
change their
doing-
message. Guaranteed, they won't change.
No,
their
no,
message.
I agree. I
If
agree.
they have tripled down on motion controls and even the design of the thing looks like a goddamn gamepad, they will not change their messaging. They will not change their attitude, and that's what's going to sink them. They will not take the steps that they need, that the stuff that you mentioned, which would make so much goddamn sense. They will not do it.
Yeah, you're probably right.
No, yeah, I agree with Chris. I think, yeah, if Nintendo actually had like a full-fledged, quote-unquote, current gen Pokemon, that thing would sell fucking huge.
Yeah,
But this is Nintendo.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree and disagree with Chris at the same time. Like,
Uh-oh.
I agree that Nintendo is going to be a failure, or the Switch is going to be a failure. But the reason it's going to be a failure is because they're not going to stop supporting the 3DS. The 3DS is going to be alive. So no Bravely Third, no Professor Layton game, no Pokemon game is going to be on the Switch.
I think keeping the 3DS alive is a huge fucking mistake.
Well,
Yeah.
see, that's the problem. That's why I'm saying if you can get Pokemon Sun and Moon, and they're still going to support the 3DS, and you can buy it, and the system is cheaper, or you might have one already, then you spend less money to play the same fucking game. And also, they're bringing some of those games to mobile. Fire Emblem,
Yeah.
Fire Emblem, the new Professor Layton game, that's going to mobile also, so you can play that on your phone.
It's crazy. All right, I want to move on to the next question. It's still about Nintendo, though. Willie Robinson, a new timer. So thank you, Willie, for living. He left that in the question, the comments of the YouTube. Thank you for doing that. Nobody ever does that shit.
Thanks a lot, man.
Wait, what did he leave? What did he leave?
He left a comment. He left a question in the comments of YouTube. Everybody always leaves them in the coalition. You know, like rarely do we get any on YouTube. Imagine if we weren't on coalition, we'd be fucked on this show.
Oh yeah, nobody would know where to do it.
Yeah, right. Okay. So the question is the Nintendo app really going to be iPhone or Apple exclusive? Could you imagine that shit? Think about it, right?
No.
This is the app you need to have in order to communicate online. I could see Nintendo doing something really fucking stupid and locking it to Apple. You know,
Nintendo still hasn't come out to dispute that. So I guess it's true, right? I mean,
Nintendo's stupidity is born out of laziness or not understanding current technology.
I think it's that one. They don't understand current technology.
Do they not hear that everyone's bitching that you need to use an app on a phone in order to communicate?
Yeah, they don't care. They don't give a fuck.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
I think that it would be suicide if they locked it to just iPhone, but they could do something where they say the Android version releases after.
Time exclusive.
Right?
Kind of like Mario Go.
Like Mario,
Kind of like Mario Run. Yeah, they work on the iOS version first, and that's the preferred version, and then later they release the Android version. And I think that will also be like another nail in the coffin. Like if you burn Android users, they won't support you.
Yeah, man.
It's just that simple.
Oh, and Chris, in this vein, I got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Will Mario Run be a success on Android when it comes out in March?
I doubt it.
It's not a success now. I mean, they said they have some high million amount of downloads, but how many in-game purchases of the full game?
I heard it was like 1%.
They got less than 3% conversion rate on all those downloads. So on Android, I can't see anybody doing that. And honestly, once they bring it to Android, I'm waiting. I'm gonna TikTok down to the guy who hacks the fucking game and releases it on a bootleg store. You know.
Oh man. All right. Next question here. Final stage boss. A little late to the party, but he's here, so that's what counts. This is a fun one. Which franchise do you think has the best stealth gameplay between Deus Ex and Metal Gear Solid? This is a tricky one because they're very different types of stealth.
Yeah.
You know, like Metal Gear is more about like physical stealth, right? And Deus Ex is more about hacking stealth. You know, so this is not really like if you if you were to compare Splinter Cell and Metal Gear, that's fair. You know,
so yeah, that's a closer transition. Yeah,
but Deus Ex, this is a tough one because they're so different from one another.
I mean, he's missing Hitman. Hitman needs to be in that group.
Let me see if I can make the tiebreaker. In Deus Ex, can you disguise yourself as a box?
No.
Metal Gear wins.
You can turn temporarily invisible in Deus Ex.
But can you turn yourself into a visible box? No, you can't. I like Brett. I'm not going with that.
Plus, I love the fact that they've taken the box gag and like gone with it. Like in the new one, you can set up fake boxes. So they check the boxes, you come out and run from behind a rock and like karate chop. I'm like the self-awareness of the box mechanic it puts it over the top for me.
Yeah,
I mean, Metal Gear in general is.
You can have a box where it turns into a sexy woman, and the guy gets like distracted because of that. And you can fuck him up when it gets close.
Or you could have the box with the sexy lady standing somewhere, and then you just come up behind them.
Yeah, man, it's great. Yeah, the box makes the win. There you go.
I would have to pick option C, Hitman. That's it. Just going to see. Come on, I mean, when it comes to stealth in general in games, Hitman, at least the newest one, does it.
Even over Splinter Cell, because my man Sam Fisher.
Well, no, because
back in the day,
because in the game of in Hitman, you can literally dress up as any one of the guys.
Yeah, with the mask.
Well, he doesn't have a mask. He's just awkward bald guy with a suit on, but. You know, it's still a suspension of disbelief, you know, because he just puts a police hat on. It's like, oh, hey, I know you.
But
let
me look at your neck real quick, bro.
But that's the thing. Even in the new ones, in the new one, they bring that up. So even though you have a guard uniform, people are like, I don't really recognize that guy, and they'll follow you. Yeah. You know, so it's like, oh shit. So it doesn't just work like, oh yeah, he's got the suit on, so it must be legit.
But the thing is, the one thing about the Hitman games is that there was never one way to do it. You can be stealthy, or you could just run into the room and blow everybody away.
It's like, most of them for the new ones at least, it's like 3 or 4 different ways for each mission. So crazy.
I know the new one is like way more than even
Oh
that.
yeah.
You know?
No, the new one, the one that we're talking about with the episodes.
No,
Yeah,
but they get deep with the
they
stuff
get
in that
deep.
one, boy.
They get deep. I've
You know,
done
it's
three,
funny.
I think.
Yeah. I was just about to tell you something. I can't actually tell you on air. I'll tell you later. Pretty cool shit. So let's move on here. This is a funny one. Did the inauguration cut into your game time? Yeah, I just
Nope.
watched the inauguration all day.
No.
So it
Nope.
did for me. It makes like fuck.
No.
I didn't even know what's
Nope.
happening.
No, you know what?
It's happening next week, right? Isn't that next week? That's next
I
week.
knew it was
It was
happening,
Hillary
but
Clinton, that one, too.
to be just like the Barack Obama one and any of the other presidential ones, I did not care because, to be honest, as far as politics and stuff like that go, I don't really want to look at it. I don't want to be reminded how fucked up our world really is.
Yeah, that's
So,
fair.
you know, what I did is I just worked. I went and played some games. I did what I was supposed to because, you know, Twitter was ablaze with all this bullshit.
I was
You know?
homesick.
Manny was drawing pictures of Bowser. You know.
I was drawing pictures of. I drew a piece, a Gravity Rush picture. That's what I did.
Yeah, I like that, man. No, I watched that thing all day. Manny knows. He called me like, "What are you doing? Like, you playing Gravity Rush?" I'm like, "No, I'm watching this shit go down." You know.
Like, yo, man, it's Friday. Play some Gravity Rush.
No, because you know, to me, it's like you only get a new president every once. I like seeing the whole, you know, I guess pomp and circumstance of it all. You don't see it very often.
Did you like
know?
Three Doors Down performance?
I see they were all right, you know. Even I don't like Three
you know,
Doors Down, you know, because they're one of those bands.
Kryptonite.
Yo, hey,
Come on
listen,
now.
you know what was cool about it? I'm glad you bring it up. My man Ravi Drums was there, bro. Remember him from the Nintendo conference?
Oh God.
Yeah, he was there. He was doing his thing. I'm like, okay, so that's how you play. You're not just an asshole, you know. Yeah, I saw. I'm like, oh, that's my man Ravi Drums. Oh shit, you know. And I learned that it's Ravi Drums, one name, you know. So,
Whatever.
yeah, pretty funny. Anybody else want to answer this?
They at least play that stupid Superman song. If I go crazy,
Yeah,
will
they
you
played that
still
shit.
call
That was
me
it.
Superman?
That was
Yeah,
it.
they played that.
Kryptonite. That was it. It was Kryptonite.
Yeah, they play. What else are they gonna play, man?
But that's what, like,
That's it. Yeah, they play their one hit
Hey,
wonder.
I'm just
yeah,
say
but
this
that's the
though.
thing. Like, how did they approach this? Like, his team, did they say, all right, did they reach out to certain bands, or did they reach out to labels and say, hey, do you have anybody interested in doing
Nobody
this?
wanted to go sing because they were gonna be blacklisted by other artists, bro.
You know, that's what I'm saying. It's like I would just love to have known. Like,
Three Doors Down. Good luck with your career after this. Nobody's gonna hire you.
They're
now.
like 3 doors down. It's like, what career?
see, but that's, what's his name? But Mustaine from Iron Maiden loves him. I mean, you could have had Iron Maiden.
Wait, who from Iron Maiden?
Mustaine.
Mustaine
No,
from Iron Maiden. I'm about to
Mustaine.
check. From Mustaine from Megadeth.
Megadeth.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm done mixing up. Megadeth.
Yeah, they were gonna have no Megadeth at the fucking
Yeah.
inauguration.
Hell no. They're
They're
not gonna have no Megadeth.
Play Holy Wars and third foot, you know, Donald Trump coming out. That'd be hilarious.
Shit, man, I was freaked out when I heard Al Jurgensen was a big Alex Jones supporter.
Really?
He's constantly. He was a few years ago. He was constantly on the show, and a buddy of mine sent me a message like, "Yo, you see what Al's doing now?" I'm like, what do you mean? And he's just talking about New World
but this is
Order and this
why
and that. He was
yeah.
going off. I'm like,
This
oh,
is why you separate the artists from their politics.
Yeah,
Just enjoy their
yeah.
art. Don't worry
that's
about
it.
what
I
the
was like, I don't
politics
need
are.
to know this.
All right, Carlos, what about you, man?
I was at work.
Okay, so
yeah.
there's that. Chris.
No, I mean I watched some of it and it didn't really cut into my game time. I was just like, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And watch it.
Give it to you, the people. The people. All right, I want to move. I don't want to stick on this one. All right, moving on. Mr. Meps. So this is following up a conversation Meps and I actually had on PSN the other day. So he goes further to our chat on PSN. I'd like to know how the Throwdown crew, especially Chris, feels about the below article from Eurogamer. Essentially, from what it looks like, Nintendo has been downloading ROMs from the net and then reselling them on the Nintendo Virtual Console. I really recommend that you read the article and watch the video too. This is some crazy fucking shit, you know?
Yeah.
So Chris, go ahead, man, since this question was really more for you.
I don't know if you got the memo, but Nintendo feels completely entitled to that stuff. They look at it as it's their IP, right? They don't have to do any work. They snag those, they punish the people who put them out, and then they take them, label them, put them on the virtual store, and charge you money. And their logic is it's our IP. So you're going to pay us for that. You're not going to download it online. So yeah, it's a shitty thing to do, right? They should be doing the work of curating the ROMs and creating. No, they just ripped them off online. They punished the guy. They hit up sites with DMCA's, but not before they download this shit and go, hey, you know what? We could sell this.
Yeah.
And to them, it's no big deal because it's like, hey,
they did the work for them.
Yeah, so you did the work for us. Yeah, that's how they look at it. And you could look at it as a shitty thing to do, but it's at the end of the day, it's still their IP, so they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they do that. I'm sure there's more. I'm sure Eurogamer is going to dissect more and see that probably a lot of them are taken from.
Now, here's my
rips
question:
online.
how do they determine if it's a reproduced ROM or not? Like, how, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you tell a fake one from the real one?
Well, you have to. Every rips ROM has headers, right?
Yeah.
So usually the tool used to rip them puts a header on the ROM file. So
Yeah.
you know what it used. So that's how Eurogamer found it, because the header on there is from an old dump tool. ROM dump tool. That's how they knew, right?
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So there you go. If Nintendo was dumping the ROMs or converting them, right, it wouldn't have those headers.
That's fucking funny, man. But yeah, no, you hit it on the head though. Nintendo feels like, hey, we created this shit. We're allowed to do this. Fuck you.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, because essentially these guys are still doing something illegal. So
technically they
you're
are
doing something illegal. You're essentially copying a game that's in the legal speak on every single console game.
Yeah.
The only reason why it's not, they can't go after every single person. So what they'll do is exactly what Chris is like. They find somebody who's a little, they find at some point it's like, oh, okay, this is the source. Get that guy.
Yeah, no,
And
but then they'll take the game too.
They'll take that game too.
They download it for legal research, right? But then they just repackage it.
Yeah, and then they sell it to you. It's hilarious. All right, moving on here. This question is from biggest.
That's why those guys who rip those games should put all kinds of crazy shit inside of those games just to
put
fuck with
Nintendo.
Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right, let's move on here. So, biggest dickus. So he's like, you would think he's a new guy, but he goes, yo, Throwdown crew, it's JK Livewire. I'm not on my other account because I'm at a family party and I forgot the password to my other account. So I had a backup on my Gmail and doing this on my glitch phone. So yeah, big dick. That's funny. All right. Do you guys sometimes get pissed off when your favorite game franchise gets made into a movie? For me, kind of, because if the movie is complete garbage and the people who watch the movie find out the movie they watch is actually a game, they'll think the game is bad even though it wasn't. Then they assume the game is complete shit, and it pisses me off when I see reviews. I don't know. I saw they're making Metal Gear Solid into a movie, and to be honest, it's not going to be as good. It has so many references to other movies like 007, Escape from New York, and other stuff that Kojima got inspiration from. What do you guys think of this? I shouldn't even give a shit.
For Metal Gear, I don't even know if that's still happening since Kojima left.
I've said this about the Metal Gear movie. Don't fucking make it. Please don't make it. And if they do make it, I'm not gonna see it anyway. So fuck it. Don't care.
It's a whole issue with this, how the stories are structured in video games. They don't translate well into a movie format.
Yeah.
Like imagine the Uncharted movie. That's not going to be like, if they do an Uncharted movie of the story that's in Uncharted, it's not going to be that good.
Because it's going to be him just jumping around half the movie.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
Exactly. The thing is, one thing about a video game character as opposed to a movie character is you got to kind of get it. For Indiana Jones, you have to get him across relatively quickly. Whereas in a game, you get to spend a lot of time with Drake to get to know him.
And in one area.
So it's just about trying to distill that character into something that you can put into a film. That's why I always say whenever they do those sorts of films, they shouldn't really be in an adaptation of a specific game. It should probably just be another adventure that you didn't see.
Yeah, that works. An adventure that's tailored to be a movie.
Kind of like the way the original Resident Evil film was, where it was like, it was in the world of, they were in Raccoon City, it was in the mansion, it was all in that stuff, but it was another story that was intertwined and that was around the events of the game.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's how you do it. You know,
And then there was that shitty second movie, and and the good
fuck
things
that
and
shit.
happy movies.
Well, yeah,
after that.
and then Assassin's Creed tried to freaking make a movie where half of the story was like the anime stuff, where they
more than half. It was like 60%. Like, who the fuck wants to watch that shit?
they got the worst part of the video game and put that shit in
Yeah.
a movie. It's like, what do you expect?
Well, they just got a
Desmond
director
wasn't
for
the
the
worst part of
Division.
the video
so
game.
Let's see what happens with the Division, the movie.
No, see the thing with the Division, they could make that into a good movie, but they probably won't.
Because it doesn't. The Division also doesn't depend on any specific character. It's just a post-apocalyptic world. How many movies do we know that they made of that?
They could make a better TV series than a movie.
I think so. A lot of games would actually work better as a TV series for sure.
Yeah.
The one game that might fit well with that narrative would be like Last of Us. I think that would be a
That's
good
what's
movie.
gonna work. Yeah.
But it'll essentially be Logan. like the qualities between both of those like stories are pretty similar.
I heard that Logan doesn't even take place in the same universe as the other X-Men.
Yeah, I heard that
movies,
too.
which is
That's what they're
crazy.
saying. They're saying that like in fact, it's funny in the new thing he pulls up an X-Men comic book. He's like, oh, it looks like she's an X-Men fan. It's like. It was like these things didn't even happen the way they happened. They happened in real life the way they happened in this thing.
Is it the Hugh Jackman? Is he still there?
Yeah.
That's him still.
Yeah. Here's a fun little thing about that comic that he pulled up. So, 20th Century Fox does not have the rights to show anything Marvel related,
Okay.
like comic books, anything like that, any of the comics. They don't have the rights to do that. And Hugh Jackman really wanted to pull up the comic book, or one of the comic books, and he couldn't get anything from 20th Century couldn't get it from Marvel, so he literally went to Marvel themselves. He's like, "Listen, can you do us? We know we can't use this, but can you guys do something for us? I would really appreciate it." And so Joe Quesada and this other guy literally did up all these comic book pages of an X-Men book for them to use in the thing. So that's what you got to do. You got to work with these people. You can't just be like, like the way 20th Century was working with Marvel before.
Nuts, but they still couldn't use an actual comic book.
No, they can't. That's just contractually stuff to use.
Crazy. Mm-hmm. All right. Where the hell am I right now? Okay. So anyway, yeah. Do you guys get worried or pissed off or whatever when they make a video game movie?
Not even worried anymore.
I don't care anymore.
Who gives a shit? Yeah.
Okay.
And the last thing,
I saw that promo for Assassin's Creed. I'm like, this looks fucking stupid.
Yeah. And there's not a lot of video game movies out there anyway. So whatever.
I mean, again, they haven't figured out how to do it right yet.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, Ratchet and Clank should have been the easiest thing ever, but
and they fucked that up.
And I watched that film. I mean, the biggest problem with that film is they made him an idiot.
Yeah.
They made Ratchet an idiot.
And he's not supposed to be like a dummy like that, like a klutz.
He's not supposed to be clumsy, but no, they have him falling over himself. Like, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm like, God, come on. Ugh.
Yeah,
it's like we, because they feel the need to try to placate it to kids.
Yeah,
that's the thing about Ratchet and Clank. It wasn't really for kids. I mean, granted, it was like cartoony, but it wasn't for kids. It was like for Look at any of the names of those games.
Yeah, they're all subversive and stuff. Yeah,
they're all subversive.
Right. The last thing he says here. This is not a question. He just goes, "P.S. I love you guys' show. It helps through depressing times, and also I learn new shit about gaming, shitty game companies." And that kind of stuff from you guys in general. Thank you. You're welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I like this guy because Manny, you picked him up when you went on Yang Ye's show the other time. Just pretty cool.
I mean, I went on. Yeah, well, it's really the codec. It's like a joint show. But yeah, those guys are cool, and I'm glad that you decided to come over and hang out with us.
Yeah, and I told your other friends too.
Tell your friends.
All right. Last couple questions here from some of the guys right here in the chat. So thank you for that. Black Metal Gamer. Okay. If Switch is a success, how long will its life cycle be? If it's a fail, how long? And for each outcome, what do you think Nintendo does next? I know you guys are probably burned out on Nintendo questions. No, man, keep them coming. Let's go. So okay, how long do we think the life cycle is going to be on this thing? I say if it's successful, probably no more than 4 years.
I divert any predictions of Nintendo to our local Nintendo predictor / Nostradamus.
Oh yeah, obviously we defer to Chris, but I get some in here because I've been looking at some of the Chevron written about Nintendo. I'm like, yeah, Tony, you haven't been that far off the mark either. But then again, Chris, I kind of hear what Chris says. I'm like, works for me. That makes sense, But yeah, my prediction, even if it's successful, I don't think we're gonna see more than 4 years of this shit before they release a Switch U or some shit.
Yeah, I don't see them doing it.
I don't see it happening, man. Again, I predict this shit's gonna fucking bomb.
They'll leave it out there forever. Look at the Wii U. That shit bombed years ago.
You can't find the Wii U anymore.
Well, they recalled it, but I mean, look how long it took for that.
4 years.
Yeah, and they never lowered the price. That shit was still $250.
So that's why I'm going with 4 years on this one too, if it's even moderately successful. And I don't even see that happening, But yeah, Chris, go ahead, answer the questions.
All right. Well, if it's moderately successful, that means you guys have rewarded mediocrity, and Nintendo will continue to give you that. So they'll do something along these lines. They'll continue along motion controls, and it'll be a slightly improved Switch with some other gimmick thrown in. I don't know if they'll go back to 3D or if they'll try some VR nonsense, but that's what they'll do. That's if they are moderately successful. If it's a failure, you can look forward to 2018. Either they make some big announcement or some big auction. I give them till the end of next year, and that's a generous amount of time, because they got to prove themselves. Not only this year, they are launching the Switch before the end of their fiscal year, so they have some good news to tell their stockholders.
That's what we sold 2 million. Yeah.
But if they flop now, they can't limp through another 2-3 years.
We'll see Nintendo go back to making Hanafuda cards again.
Yeah, right.
Oh shit! All right. Anybody else want to weigh in on this?
I still feel like, how do I put it? I don't think that they're going to discontinue the 3DS as a successful thing, but I don't think that we're going to see another iteration after the 3DS. I don't think that we're going to see another handheld. I think that after a lackluster launch, Nintendo will eventually grumble and be like, well, it'll start with, this is the only game system that can go outside with you and that can go with your friends. And they'll slowly, by inches and degrees, kind of put it in the light of their handheld. And then one day they'll not make a new Game Boy, and they'll just be like, oh, well, we'll just be able to continue our legacy of great service on the Switch, seeing as you can be able to take it with you everywhere. So I think that'll artificially prolong their life cycle. So I think if it's a success, 3 to 8 years, depending on whether or not they decide to sell it as a handheld or try and push it as a handheld. I personally, my belief is after a failure of a console launch, they'll try and hedge their bets and be like, no, it's a handheld.
Change of message, right?
Well, essentially what they're doing, in my opinion, right now is that's their plan. But if they say that, that's going to tank a fairly successful market that they already have. So what they're saying is, oh, no, we're still going to support the 3DS. But if you listen to their messaging when they say a lot of it, they talk about how 3DS still has a lot of momentum. Meaning that they'll finish out this cycle, but they're not going to make a new handheld after the end of that cycle. And not unless the Switch is such an abysmal failure that it gets pulled off the shelves before that can happen. But I don't see Nintendo having that kind of currency.
They've already put too much into the system to pull it off the shelves. They will castrate the 3DS before they do that. And what's going to happen is, if the Switch undersells, which it will, they're going to punish 3DS owners. They're going to cut that off. and to get people to buy the Switch. They already did that. That's the strategy with Wii U owners. They've already abandoned the Wii U. They want to push you to a Switch. They think by leaving you behind that they're going to get you to invest your money in the Switch after they've just dumped you like garbage, right? And they'll do that. They'll run that same strategy for the 3DS. You wait. When you can only buy a 2DS in your store and all the 3DSs are mysteriously sold out, and they start putting up that dumb rhetoric like, oh, it's sold. Yeah, bullshit. You stop making them, you cut everyone off, and you say, well, we have the Switch, right? They'll run that same bullshit strategy. And you watch, people are not stupid anymore. They're not going to buy that. They're going to get pissed off and move on to something else.
I agree with you everywhere up until that last point. I think that Nintendo fanboys are so hardcore, like Apple fanboys, that they'll be like, well, okay, well, I mean, it is better. It is an upgrade from my handheld.
Well, those fanboys, they're too few and far between. They cannot hold up the company, and they're shrinking. They're a shrinking pocket. Like you see more and more people getting away from Nintendo. Like I saw so many people hardcore Nintendo just disappointed with this presentation
in the console market. But fuck, Nintendo handheld owners are fucking feverish about that shit. It still astounds me.
Yes, but they're feverish because it had features, it had Street Pass, it had community things which are gone. The Switch has no community, it has no Miiverse, it has no Street Pass. Those are the things that people loved about the 3DS. That you could take it out and connect with people even though you weren't playing a game, and you had the puzzle shit, and you could meet up with people and play those games. That's gone. That's all gone. They've taken that away. So what are you going to do with your Switch to go out? Besides,
you don't think they're going to put something equivalent to
like an asshole and ignore your dog? What are you going to do with it?
You don't think they're going to implement something equivalent?
No, because it's too late. They would have
advertised that.
They would have announced it. Yes,
that would have been a big selling point right there.
Well, I mean, Chris, don't you think they need to get rid of the 3DS? Like stop. Like after the Switch comes out, don't you think they need to stop? Working on the 3DS?
Well, yeah, sure, because you have to move all your resources. Like this is they're going Switch or nothing. So yeah, they're gonna cut it off, but they're gonna cut it off in not the way that anyone would slowly phase out a legacy system, right? It's just gonna hit a brick wall. They're just gonna see their Switch sales tank, and then you watch. It's just all of a sudden things are gonna happen, and 3DS owners are just gonna be left left by the wayside. And that's how they play it. And then they'll go, oh, you have the Switch. But it's like, yeah, but you threw me out of the car.
Gotcha.
All right, let's move on here. This is a very interesting question. We've answered this kind of before, but I guess we could go into it again. Let's just not get too deep into it because this is one of those type of questions. When do you think we will get an enhanced AI in gaming? This generation or maybe next generation? I'm going to say my controversial one right now. You're never going to see that shit because gamers don't want hard games. They want bullshit, easy games. They like dumb AI. You know, you're not going to see that.
I feel like the advancements in AI are not going to come in enemies, but in actual non-player characters, like characters that assist you, like stuff like
Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah, like Shadow of Mordor, or even like The Last Guardian. You know, stuff like that, where it's like. It's not something that's going against you. It's something that's hanging out with you.
Yeah.
You know, if they pushed it far enough, it could be all inclusive. It could be, you know, because Elder Scrolls, I think it was it Skyrim, or the whole idea was, you know, everybody has this advanced AI. Everybody has this set day. They wake up, they eat, they go to work. It's a living, vibrant world. So I think when people, you know, say AI in gaming, like it's more than just the brain behind the guy trying to shoot you. Like really heavily advanced AI could mean that you could talk to every character, and they may not have scripted dialogue, but instead they have a voice generator and a personality generator and an artificial intelligence that you can ask them questions via a microphone as opposed to 4 chat bubbles. And they would respond in kind. Like, how awesome
would Milo?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how awesome would an RPG game be where you actually talked to the characters? I want to play Dragon's Age where I get to ask questions instead of like having a dialogue wheel that pops up.
I think they're gonna enlist outside resources to make this AI happen. The stuff they're doing with like Google DeepMind and that IBM's working on, they could actually do cloud-based AI. They could offset all those things that Brett talked about to a cluster that would be DeepMind or whatever, and actually have those personality algorithms or whatever in there, and pipe that back to your game. So I don't think the onus will be all on developers and stuff like shit. We got to develop an AI in here for characters and enemies and all this stuff. I think they're going to start offloading that. I think Google and IBM and these other guys working on this shit are going to sell that as a service, and the games are going to tap into that.
Yeah,
that also sounds very familiar too. When they were advertising Titanfall, you remember that one?
Well, what the
advanced AI on the cloud?
Yeah, no, but this is the real stuff. Like DeepMind is beating like beat the champion Go player. They're teaching it StarCraft now. I mean, This thing is like powerful, you know.
Yeah, the problem has been developing a good working artificial intelligence that nobody's gotten to. And yeah, I think it's so much resource going to be poured into it that it's not going to be up to developers to make their own AI. I think just like Chris said, it'll be something that you outsource. I mean, there was a time in video games where engines were kind of like that, where game companies weren't expected to build their own engine. You could just rent the Unreal Engine and build a game on top of that. So I think it'll be kind of the same thing. And yeah, it'd be great. And that would be one of the very, like, I've shit on the cloud a lot. But that would be one of those things where not only could it work really well, but it would be excusable to have a slight lag. Like when you're talking to somebody, you could walk up and be like, do you know where those raiders came from? It would be okay for the character, and it'd be written into the character code for the character to be like, let me think about that. Yeah, I think they came from the south. Like you could do that like pretty seamlessly. It's okay for a character to think for a second or to take a moment to take in something. So when you're talking about like AI, like you could absolutely pipe that back and forth without there being a whole lot of interrupting your gameplay. Whereas if you're trying to like pipeline where an enemy is, then you get rubber banding, you get lagging, you have gameplay problems that make the game nigh on unplayable. But yeah, like offloading AI would be an amazing thing, and that's actually probably going to change my answer, because I was going to agree with Tony that you're never going to have that amount of processing power, but if you do it through the cloud, you could do that in as little as fucking next generation.
I can see that. By the way, Brett, when you said you shit on the cloud, I imagine you uploading your shit to the cloud. It's the future.
But for the most part, it's a useless fucking idea when you're dealing with gaming. Like it's great for storage capacity and things like that, but when you're talking about, downloading and uploading as somebody's playing a game, the cloud doesn't really help you a whole lot.
Yo, but Crackdown though.
Oh, but Crackdown, yeah.
We'll see.
You tell me how the cloud. I want to know. I'm curious exactly how the cloud is helping your AI. Is it like a guy who like ducks down behind a concrete barrier and like radios into command like we're surrounded, and command comes back like try going left through that door, and the guy's like okay, like it is like there's not a way to use the cloud real well in real time.
Yeah, we have to see.
Not with our infrastructure.
I think it would just take
snapshots. Environments though.
It would probably just try to learn your patterns. So if it knows on a certain mission, you always run to the left into a building that's up there, and you get on the second floor every time. It'll be like, well, we'll put somebody there. So next time you go there, there's an AI enemy there. And like,
yeah, next time. But again, that's not necessarily like real time. That's re-uploading every time you play the game, and that would be a great use of it. But everybody thinks like, oh, the cloud is this thing that you just hook into, and it can change your experience on the fly. It can do all this. Like, no, it stores and retrieves information, which can be utilized in a variety of ingenuitive ways, but it doesn't mean that you can like have half the data that runs a video game just floating in the air and just play the video game. You can't pull content out of nowhere. But AI would be a really good use for that, especially because, like I said, it would almost be more realistic for when you're accessing these AI cloud programs for them to actually have to think for a second.
Remember for Crackdown, they mentioned that the cloud was pretty much just for the destructible environment, so it can handle that, and that it would record it and save it, so that way every time you jump back in the world, if there was like a whole neighborhood, just destroyed, it's always destroyed, and it'll always stay like that in the open world. It won't just like.
Oh yeah,
populate.
I can see. Saving world states to a cloud save.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. Again, that's really ingenuitive ways of storing and retrieving technology. But the way Microsoft first introduced it, when they were like the power of the cloud, it made it sound like it was this thing that was just super powering your gaming experience while you were playing. It was adding more enemies, and it was making them smarter, and it was determining where particle effects went and where shrapnel went when this grenade explodes. I'm like, no, it's not like it's not yellow sunlight for your Superman. It doesn't just like power up your gaming system.
Power up your console on the cloud.
And that's not the problem of the idea of the cloud. Like in theory in theory, it should be able to do that. In theory, my PS Vita should be able to sync up to my PlayStation, from 12 miles away, so that I can play the games.
In theory,
but
you
it
should be able
never
to plug it
fucking
into
does.
your PS4 and it should see it. Doesn't do that shit.
No, it never does that shit.
No.
And if you do, like, it's horribly laggy.
Oh man. All right. The last question here. From Techno Fabulous. I had a chance to play the Nioh demo on PS4 and loved it. Very reminiscent of a Souls game or Bloodborne. What are your thoughts on the game? Okay, perfect opportunity for your boy Tony to go the fuck off right now. If you guys saw my Twitter last night, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is some fucking bullshit. This is what happens when you have consoles become more like PCs, right? So I downloaded the demo, right? Because it's the last chance demo. I don't want to play this fucking game. And people were telling me it's more advanced than the previous demo. I download the game, click on it, set it to high frame rate. I'll do all this bullshit. Goes to the title screen, fucking crashes. I'm like, that's weird. Why would the game crash? Load it up again. Crash on the title screen. I'm like, this is some bullshit. Did it again. Crash on the title screen. I'm like, okay, let me delete the game completely, re-download it. Did all that shit again. Crashes on the title screen. Second time. I'm like, oh my fucking God. So I delete it. Not only do I delete the game, I delete all the save data. I delete the fucking original demo. I download anything Nioh related on my system. Download the shit again. Reinstall it. Go through the motions. Set everything up. Crashes on the title screen. That's when I gave the fuck up.
Well, did you?
And then I go online, right, to find out. I'm like, is this a PS4 Pro issue? Is this what's going on here? It's not a PS4 Pro issue. Some people that have the game on the regular PlayStation were having the same issue. Some people with the Pro had it. Some people with the Slim had it. But then other people played it just fine, no problem, 8 hours straight, all this shit. Very weird, So unfortunately, I can't answer this question because I was not able to play a demo, even though I wanted to play the fucking demo.
But you said that you made some changes to the frame rates and stuff.
No, because the game asks you, what frame rate do you want? Locked frame rate or do you want locked?
Like Tomb Raider, like the way Tomb Raider.
Yeah. So, and I picked both options every time.
Okay.
So basically, Adam, I had your problem. You know how you have bullshit happen to you?
Oh yeah.
I had an Adam issue, man.
Yeah, an Adam issue, all right.
I can't answer this question because I can't play the fucking demo. Some bullshit. So who played this shit here?
Not me.
And we're talking about the latest one, not the original one. The last.
For some reason, I thought it was going to be like Ninja Gaiden. Or Ninja Gaiden.
No.
It's not.
No, it's not.
No,
It's a Dark Souls game, bro.
And then once I heard,
It's Samurai Souls.
no,
Yeah.
and then that's it. Then it just faded away from me. Nope. Well, thank you. I had enough problems with Bloodborne. Oh.
Right. Did anybody play it here?
I did.
Okay. What did you think? The last one, right? The latest one that was available this weekend. What did you think, man?
I have mixed feelings about it. I really enjoyed it. It's got a lot of the same elements that Souls games do. I like the ability to pull people into your world. I like the ability to fight other people. I like the character customization. That's about where things start to get rocky. The equipment is cool, but it's very status RPG. Like, you can break down weapons for higher end commodities and then use those to build new weapons and transfer properties, and there's a lot of statistics in it, a lot of math, so it's very by the numbers RPG in that sense. And the combat is honestly, it's not as tight as the Souls games, and maybe I didn't get a chance to get as good with it because it's got kind of a weird system where you can hold your weapon low, medium, or high, and that determines, essentially the aggressiveness of your attacks. Holding low, having your weapon held low allows you to dodge easier, but you do less damage. Holding it high allows you to do more damage, but leaves yourself open. The thing is, it didn't feel like it had the weight and the finesse of Dark Souls. Like, the beauty of Dark Souls, and Chris will attest to this, is everything feels very solid. It feels like when an enemy hits you, it almost feels like you deserve to be hit. And when you hit an enemy, like, they generally stagger correctly. It's the tightness of the controls and the simplicity of the controls that really bring it home. The same way Smash Brothers is easy to pick up, hard to master, and Souls is a lot about timing. This game felt like it was trying to cross Ninja Gaiden's gameplay with a Souls gameplay. It didn't feel weighted correctly. It didn't feel heavy enough or reactive enough, or the rules of the universe didn't feel consistent. And this is nitpicking, but nitpicking is where the Souls games really thrive. Like, in a Souls game, if a weapon weighs more, it's generally going to do more of like a stun damage. Like, the rules felt inconsistent. Some weapons seemed to hit harder, some seemed to stun more. It was good, but it didn't have the A+ tightness that the Souls games have, and that could change. But it felt a little bit more arcadey, and I'm not sure how well that translates. So what I'm saying, I guess, is it's no Dark Souls, but it's kind of Dark Souls.
We call it kind of Ninja kind of Dark Souls.
Yeah, there you go. It's Ninja kind of Dark Souls.
Ooh. Anybody else play this thing?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
No,
wow.
I was busy playing a game that was fun. Oh,
Hey, don't get me wrong. That being said, like, I'd still probably, I'll buy this game, and I'm sure a lot of us will buy it and play it together. It's just when you're holding something up to a pedigree like Dark Souls, whose only other games in that category include Dark Souls and Dark Souls, it's
and Bloodborne.
and Bloodborne, yeah, like, it's tough to measure up, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I played the original demo, right? Right after, actually, no, not right after, while I was playing Dark Souls 3, right? And all the shit you just said, Brett, I completely agree with. This game doesn't feel as tight. It's like really loose. And I feel that when you did get hit in this game, unlike Dark Souls, it felt unfair. Like when you get hit in Dark Souls, like, yeah, I fucked up. And this one is like, how did I get hit? What the fuck? Like, it just didn't seem as like tight and yeah, as tight as a Dark Souls game. Again, I don't know if it's different with the new demo. From what you're telling me, it sounds like nothing's changed with this game. My question to you is, when you lock on and you press back, do you continue looking at the character?
Yes.
Okay, and because in the original demo, right, when you even if you locked on, as soon as you head back, you turn around and start walking back. And what happens after that? They slice you in the fucking back. So I'm glad they changed that at least. But yeah, the game just felt very loose, which is weird because it's supposed to be like a Ninja Gaiden type of game. Those games are always really tight, but at the same time, those Ninja Gaiden games were tough, but they also felt unfair. Souls games, though, as brutal as they are, they never feel unfair. Never ever feel unfair.
It didn't even feel as tight. Like, I would have rather like a Samurai Warriors type game. Like, you guys remember that? Like, 2 fucking hits and you were dead.
Yeah, you were done. Yeah.
Like, it didn't even feel like that. Like, it felt like they were moving. If you're going to have a game where 2 strikes kills you, like, there's a lot that you have to ride on tension and pacing and the moment and timing. Like, I really kind of expected to have more of like a jutsu focus where I could like have my sword sheath and then wait for that time where they attack and then dodge to the side and snap it out for extra damage. And it wasn't like that. It's more dodge to the side and rail into somebody and then dodge back out. It needs to slow down a little bit. And which is weird because Bloodborne was quicker, but even Bloodborne was when you hit somebody, a lot of times they went, bruh, bruh, bruh. You know, like you felt like you were making an impact, and it rewarded that attacking, that hyper aggression with, you know, renewing your health. This game, like, it has this weird, like, you attack and you attack and you attack and you attack, and these little glowing balls come, and if you right when they get back to you, you press a button, you'll grab most of your stamina back, but otherwise your stamina regenerates slower in the face of demons. So not only do you have stamina regeneration to worry about, but it almost turns into this kind of quick time event thing. Like it's just got all these weird arcadey elements that don't vibe well with the Souls idea of, like, this is your spear, learn how long it is, learn how long it takes you to recover, learn how to dodge and roll with it, like learn everything about your weapon, because it is unique and it is hefty, and it is your best friend. Like, it just feels like a combination of Ninja Gaiden and Dark Souls, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's so close to Dark Souls that you can't help but compare it to Dark Souls.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because usually, you know, personally, I don't like comparing games to other games, but this one is so close, like, kind of can't help it, you know? It doesn't really stand on its own. It's always going to be compared to Dark Souls. And Dark Souls, it's a better series. Just saying it, you know?
I'm not against the idea, though. Like, a Dark Souls game set in a world that's not quite so depressing, like Ninja Dark Souls, sure, like, it just and it's not a bad time because they basically said they're not making any more Souls games, although everybody knows they're going to make some kind of Souls-esque game. I would have
they're going to go back and make Tenchu, damn it.
Yeah.
That'd be fine. I'd be fine with that. They would still bring the elements of the things they've learned from Dark Souls. Like, it would still feel like a Dark Souls game when you pick
Or
it
they
up.
resurrect Armored Core.
Oh, shit.
There hasn't been an Armored Core for the PlayStation 4 yet.
Man, what's up with that?
Do you really, here, to be honest, do you really care about the Armored Core games? They haven't been viable since PlayStation 2.
I've never played an Armored Core game in my life.
I played one.
Never played one of those, man. All right, so let's start wrapping this up. Oh, I want to quickly apologize to anyone that was looking forward to me being on the co-op. I was going to be on the latest episode, but I completely forgot that my friend's birthday party was this weekend. I thought it was next weekend. So I will be on the co-op next weekend. You know, again, I'm trying to be on that show at least once a week, and I mean at least once a month. And I'm also trying to, you know, do something like, not just me, all of us are trying to do a bigger initiative, which we'll tell you about in the future. So let's start wrapping this shit up. Thank you for watching and listening. Leave us your questions in the comment section on YouTube right here or on the Coalition, so we can answer them on next week's show. Make sure to follow the Coalition at thecoalition.com. Also help us support the site by donating to the Patreon page. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Throwdown Show. Links are available in the description below. Once again, our show is Tony Polanco and chat joined by Emilio Lopez.
Ultra Combo!
See you later, guys.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
Haters.
Brett Murdoch.
See you, everybody.
And Adam Vale.
Remember, there's a lot of free DLC coming to Titanfall 2. A lot of free DLC, so
Get it. Do it.
Yep.
Play Gravity Rush 2, damn it.
Oh,
Games, people, they come Tuesday. All right,
Gamageddon, man.
Yeah, it's coming, man. We're gonna talk about that shit on Throwdown 118. Yeah, we're getting up there, man. Check out the last episode with Shane Lewis. Cool episode. All right, we'll see you next time. Later.
Later, guys.
Peace.